Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Hello again, Cleveland, and welcome to the ultimate Cleveland sports show. We have made it to Wednesday.
Yes.
I'm Jay Crawford. Coming up on today's show, I'm going to tell you why my Baker Mayfield theory is gaining steam, Bull.
Oh, this guy, man.
See, Baker. Enough with Baker
I'm
already.
saying there's a chance.
No.
This guy,
What about
man.
a town?
Let it go, man. Just let it go. Keisha Cole, let it go.
By the way, Keisha Cole and Anthony AB right now. That's
a whole other
that's
thing,
in the gossip.
yeah.
That's in the gossip. This is G. Bush. I'm gonna tell you why I can't stand Kyrie Irving, but I might take him back.
A lot of people are in that camp. Tyvis?
I'm Tyvis Powell. Today, I'm talking about Ohio State offering 8th grade kids. Like, this is getting ridiculous. It's blasphemy. 8th grade,
Have
they
you
get
seen this
offers?
cat?
Like, I haven't seen them, but I like. Listen, things are subject to change. You might be good in middle school, but things change in that high school game.
Yeah, it's true. They become men quick.
And I'm former cartoon character Fred Flintstone. And let me tell you something. For those idiots out there that don't think Terry Francona matters, if you watched the game last night, maybe you finally smartened up. That's coming up later.
I thought the same thing watching it. We miss him.
Fred Flintstone. You know how Fred.
Does that make you Barney?
No, see, little known fact, Barney Rubble had 2 sets of eyes. He had some of the eyes that was regular clear circles
And then the
the
dark,
dots.
full brown,
Yes,
didn't he?
and by the way,
Yeah.
you can't. Fred Flintstone, the Flintstones got so many doggone shows. They got joints with kazoo. They got joints when they had a saber-toothed tiger. They got Dino.
Sure.
Listen, you cannot.
Bam Bam. I used to call my son Bam Bam.
Thousands,
Wow.
thousands of
Yeah.
Flintstones episodes.
Are you a
by the way.
Hanna-Barbera expert or something?
I still eat cereal and watch cartoons.
Yes.
That's the life right there, bro.
I still kind of want the Flintstone vitamins. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
Them
man.
them was-
Yeah.
Tasty.
The chewables.
I like those.
Yeah.
Best one.
I want to
Best
take 10 of
ones.
them because they were so good.
Yeah.
You got to stop. Don't give your kids them. That is not candy. I've seen.
I thought they were, man.
I saw an episode of what happens when you do too much of something.
Yeah.
Like somebody was eating them vitamins like this, and they had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah,
Just
it can make you
Google
sick.
That was me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely snuck me too.
If they
Popping
didn't
like
make them so
Skittles.
damn tasty, I wouldn't have eaten 10 of them.
These
right.
fruit snacks is good.
Skittles.
Now adult vitamins are gross. They all taste terrible.
We've got a lot for you on today's program, a ton. We're going to talk Guardians, Cavs, Browns, Ohio State Buckeyes. I love this 8th grade topic. It's a hot topic. We're going to start today's show, though, with a fascinating Q&A that LeBron James decided he was going to partake in yesterday on Twitter. I love these things when big-name athletes set aside a little bit of time and
Yes.
say, I'm going to talk to the fans. You've got
Yes.
questions, I've got answers. We're going to go through some of the more fascinating questions and LeBron's answers, and we'll talk about all of them. First up today, and I love this one because this is the question everybody's asking. How many more years you got, LeBron?
Right.
How long can this guy continue to play at this ridiculous level? And he says, the way I feel, I can go for a minute, to be honest. Now, a minute can be a little bit. It can be a long time. I don't know what that means. But he says, it's really up to me and my mental staying fresh/sharp. I'm still psycho-driven. We can all co-sign that.
Yes.
This guy works
Yeah.
harder in the offseason
Yeah.
than 22-year-olds do.
No doubt.
But what do you guys make of his answer, and what do you think he has left in the tank?
5 solid years.
43.
Five solid years.
Wow.
3 playing at the level he playing at now. Do you know he could have been the leading scorer in the league?
If he wanted to.
If
He
he
could've.
wanted to this year.
Yep.
And also, he just led the league a couple of years ago in assists. I don't understand how people feel like he's going to fall off. Athletically, is he the same as he was in Miami or Cleveland the first time or even the second time? No. But the thing that LeBron does more than anybody else, Carmelo Anthony and him are roughly the same age. You see what
never
Carmelo
know that.
looking like.
Yeah.
Chris Paul,
Yeah.
same age, roughly. You see what they're
difference.
looking like.
And what's crazy is Carmelo went to college and LeBron didn't.
And
That's true for 1 year. And
yeah.
He's great that 1
So
year.
he's got a lot more miles on the tires.
Listen, LeBron is I think he's the greatest athlete in the history of sports. The greatest athlete. Not the greatest basketball player. I put him 2 behind Michael. But I think he's the greatest athlete in the history, certainly of team sports. I would
Okay.
say, without a doubt.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
it can make a strong case.
the guy is. I mean, to be that size and that strength and that athletic ability, that speed.
Yeah, that combo you
it's
don't see.
remarkable. So you're right. He's not the athlete he was, but he's still a better athlete than most of the guys in the NBA, even at his current age. He is a complete freak. I think, you know who I think he's motivated by? And I don't know, this is just a guess. I think he's motivated by Tom Brady, of all people.
Yeah.
I think he sees Tom Brady and everybody's like, oh my God, Tom Brady's 44, 45. I think he wants that too. Plus, he wants to play with his son. There's no doubt about that, and we're coming to that too. I think I agree with you. I would be very surprised if he plays 5 years or less.
He can still catch Jordan.
Tyvus, I want to, before you answer, I want you to respond to one thing that G said. Why would anybody think that he can't do it for 5 more years? The simple answer is, and we can all attest to that, because we're not at 40 what we were at 35. We're certainly not at 45 what we were at 40.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to predict what trajectory his decline will look like.
Yes.
Because everybody ages differently.
Yeah, and I think that's what I think he faces now. You know, when you get older, it's not the ability, can you still play well? It's can your body withstand it? And, you know, ever since he's been in L.A., he's been getting injured almost every year now. So I think that's the part that really is scary for him. I think he does have the ability to play 5 more years because outside of scoring, he's a great scorer, but he's working on things because he knows he's not going to be able to get to the hole. Now he's a jump shooter.
Yeah.
He's always been an assist guy. So he's doing things that will always make him effective and be a high demand on other teams. So he'll always stick around.
He can contribute in every single way.
Yes.
So somebody's going to have a need for, even if he becomes just a pure assist guy at the end of his career, there's always a need for a guy that can distribute the basketball and attract attention
as long as he
on
doesn't
defense.
as long as he doesn't have that catastrophic injury, I don't see any reason he couldn't play forever.
You just brought up a point I was
But you see Michael Jordan at the All-Star game in Cleveland in February?
Yeah.
Like, dude still looks put together. He ain't getting out there and playing in the NBA today.
And I don't think you can compare LeBron to the average even athlete.
No,
Because,
you
yes,
can't.
most athletes decline. Most basketball players, as you said with Carmelo and Chris Paul, they start declining in their mid to late 30s. LeBron is one of a kind. I don't think we've ever seen an athlete like him.
But forever. Like, I
forever,
ain't doing this at 50.
Forever, it might seem crazy. 8 to 10 more years. I say 5 years at where he's playing now. No one has ever done what he's done. No one has ever been at this peak for this long.
Yeah.
And on top of it, he hasn't even changed his game to where he is second or third fiddle.
No,
He's still ball dominant, scoring the ball, rebounding, getting 30, 8 and 8. You know,
He
10
played with
assists.
Bronny's kid.
The man went from coming in the league as a small forward. Sometimes he's played power forward.
He can play all 5.
He's literally a point guard right now.
If
So
if he wants to be a pure point, he should be the best.
Nobody
pure
would say,
point
and he still is dangerous enough to still go in there and score.
Yeah.
It's been times these past couple of seasons, he's given us flashes where he's done some athletic
I like your
stuff.
answer, G, a lot. I do think it will be 5 years. I think he is motivated by Tom Brady. I think you're absolutely right. Why? It's 2 different sports, but he's the GOAT in his game. Brady has 7 rings. LeBron has 4.
Yeah.
LeBron knows that he'll never win the argument in the Michael Jordan comparison because Michael was 6 for 6.
Yeah.
And LeBron has lost a lot of finals, and he can never be perfect. If he could find a way to just get to 6, I think that would check a lot of boxes for Michael, even though he wasn't perfect. Everybody always says the Jordan stat says he was 6 for 6. Well, that meant there were 9 years he didn't get there. So he wasn't perfect, guys. He was. When he got there, he closed the deal.
Yes.
And he retired for 2 years.
Nobody's going to play in as many finals in the modern era
Don't
as
do Mike like that.
He retired.
as LeBron's going to play in.
Yeah.
He's a
That's
fixture
true.
in the finals. So
Yes.
it's hard enough to get there, and he's done that consistently throughout his career. But I like your answer of 5 years, and I specifically like the part where you said 3 more at the current level that we're seeing. He's going to continue to be a dominant player at 40 years old, guys, in the NBA. Jordan was not a dominant player in the NBA at 40. I think he'll hang around for a couple more years, specifically to see what's going to happen with Bronny.
Yeah.
We don't know that he's even going to be an NBA talent. A team might
true.
take a flyer on him as a
somebody
free
will,
agent.
Oh, yeah, that gets
so
some
they
butts in
will
the seat.
wear an NBA uniform together
Yeah.
at the same time. I have no doubt about that. The big question I have is, would it be here? Would we see Bronny and LeBron in a third coming
I think it's possible.
here in Cleveland? I think it's
I would
likely.
like to see it.
I think if it happens, I think
Here's
it
the
will
question.
happen here.
And so here's my thing. How does that work? I've always wanted to know the nuts and bolts of this. If you like the Cavs and LeBron says, I'm going to come back if you draft Bronny, does some other team just jump up and draft him in front of Cleveland?
I don't think so.
Or is it
I
a
don't
week,
think
it's
so.
a week, nod, I'm only signing a
Guys,
contract with
the
Cleveland.
The pressure that this puts on Bronny, by the way, is immense. First of all, you're LeBron James' kid.
Yeah.
And your name is Bronny.
Yeah.
Every gym this kid walks into, he's got a target on his back.
Yeah.
And
No doubt.
I've talked to pro athletes that are uber successful that have children, and they all at some point come around to the idea, I feel sorry for my son, for the steps that he has to walk in.
Yeah.
And the notion that LeBron's son will play in the NBA because he's LeBron's son that's taking a lot of things
Right.
for
Jordan's
granted.
kids didn't play.
No, they were
Well,
fine college athletes,
yeah.
but the fact that when you're an NBA player, that means you're one of the best 300 players on the planet.
Yeah.
And
Who's the best player? I'm thinking of all the superstars over the
well,
last
the
30
Currys.
years.
I mean, the
But
Currys.
but Del Curry wasn't a superstar.
No, but he was a
serviceable
very
starter.
good
But
player,
I'm thinking
though.
about the superstars that have played in the last 30 years. I can't think of any of their kids that have played. Maybe I'm just not thinking of it.
Horace Grant's
Tim
son
Hardaway.
plays, or is that his nephew? The Hardaway's is good.
well, Larry
You know what?
Nance kids
That's
play,
a
but none of
great
those guys are
point, though.
superstars.
That's a great point.
No
And, you know,
Bird, no
well,
Magic,
Let's look
no-
at it in
no
sports.
Yeah,
Okay,
dude.
the Griffeys jump off the chart at
Right.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Ken Griffey Sr. was
a superstar. Good player.
No, he was a good player on
Yeah.
a great team, so everybody knew who he was.
Right, yes.
His son was
The best.
He was probably the best player of our era.
Yes.
I think.
And they
Natural
played
player.
together.
Yes.
They
And they
did
played
play
together,
together.
yeah.
They played against each other
Yeah.
as well. It is very rare when a father and a son attain that same level of superstardom
That's true.
in
Bonds,
any
the
sport.
Bonds are close.
Bobby Bonds was a great
right,
player.
and better than Ken Griffey
Barry
Sr.,
was
but-
that transcendent
right,
player.
right.
But Bronny
But-
embraces this because LeBron talked about it on the shop. He was like, you gotta.
He does embrace
You
it.
gotta, fulfill this. He said, I want to do my own
Yeah.
thing. He said that's kind of why he doesn't go by LeBron James Jr.
Which
He
is smart.
He wants Bronny because
Yeah.
he wants his own path.
And he's
Well-
been in the public eye for a while, too.
He has. He's
You
grown
know,
up in it, and he's
yeah.
used to it. The second question, we already put it up there, and that was, you 1,000%, or you 100% plan on playing with Bronny? And he says, yeah, that's the plan,
Yeah.
God willing. Then the second part to that was, would you guys want to see that in Cleveland, which I threw out there. I think we will see it in Cleveland. Do you guys want to see it in Cleveland?
I would.
I mean, I would. I think it's like in this area, this is rare to see it in athletic at the highest level. But think about it. When you grew up, your father was a carpenter. What was the son? You grew up. The son was like, oh, I'm going to be an apprentice.
right.
Yeah.
You got a business. Your own dad owns a deli. He gets older. Pretty soon you work summers. You come on in. You work through the ranks. So I think LeBron people say he's just doing too much. I think it's admirable for him to say, well, I'm going to stick around. And guess what? Nepotism happens everywhere.
It does.
I'm going to make sure he make it. Because that's what my goal is as a parent. I'm going to
Yes.
make sure he makes it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to give him the best opportunity to carve his own niche in basketball after I leave. But
Basketball is a
I
meritocracy.
agree.
Yeah.
I
He'll
think
make it on his ability or not.
Bronny was going to have a ton of pressure whether LeBron said he wanted to play with him or not.
Sure.
He's LeBron James' son.
Yeah, but I think it ramps it up even more
It does.
when LeBron
Maybe.
says, I want to play
But
with
if
my
he's
son.
good enough, he'll be able to handle it, right? If he's good enough,
He
he'll be
will.
able to handle that pressure.
But isn't there a part of you that if it doesn't work out because you weren't good enough, that you kind of feel like, wow, I kind of let my dad down. This was his dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids, they process things differently. I know, Mikey, you said you want to move on to Slam Dunk Contest, and I do, but I really want to talk quickly about the next question that you had up on the screen last. And that was, have you beaten
go back.
Bronny in a one-on-one competition yet?
Yeah.
And he said, no, because I dunked so hard I broke the backboard the last time we played. I thought that was a terrific answer. Our question on that was, as a father, should you ever let your son win in an athletic competition? Thank you.
No.
Thank
Listen,
you.
Zero.
I'm going to tell you why. 2 reasons. One, when my father coming up, we played Madden, the video game.
Yeah.
And he used to score 100 points on me. I was like 6 years old.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, you want to play? Come on. He'd score 100 points on me. And I'd be so mad. I'd be crying.
He made you better.
Right. So when I got older and I started playing my friends, I started putting 100 points on. Because in my mind, as a kid, I'm like, my father who loves me showed me no love in this game. So therefore, it gave me that assassin and that cold-hearted mentality.
Gave you the killer mentality.
And I think that's what you need to do with your kids. You got to instill it in them.
Part of it. G. Bush, you were a quick no also on that.
No, listen, my dad, I didn't beat my dad in basketball until I was like 13 or 14. And when I did, I came home. I told my mom, yeah, I beat your dude. I beat your boyfriend. She's like, so for me, no, you should never let your son get none of that energy off. And here's the problem. If you let your son win, right, you probably the dad that's complaining that some running back for the other school came and got 600 yards on you and 7 touchdowns and you said you wanted to forfeit.
Yeah.
That's half the problem.
That's the same mentality.
I don't believe in letting my son win, but like when he was 4 and 5 and I'm teaching him to shoot a basketball, I'm not going to stand there blocking every
No, it's when they challenge you.
No,
Yes.
so Bull, here's what's going to
Now that
happen.
my son is turning 9, in fact, tomorrow's his 9th birthday.
Yeah.
When he and I played, and I'm not a great basketball player, I'm not in great shape, but I'm much bigger than he is.
Sure.
Oh, back him down.
But when we play basketball, I get very physical with him.
Yeah.
You should.
And I tell him, you got to push, you
Yes.
can't really push me because I weigh 200 pounds more than him.
You know it.
But I tell him to try to push me,
I'm
be physical, and he tries.
Does it matter if it's a daughter? If it's your daughter?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No.
And so I'm a good test case because I have a son and a daughter. My daughter didn't love athletics. My son was very athletic. I raised my son athletically the way I was raised. My dad was hard on me as a coach. He had different expectations from me as he did from everybody else on the field, and he would tell me that.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say, Dad, you don't treat the other kids that way. And he'd say, the other kids aren't my son.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm coaching you the way I feel is the best way to coach you. And I was always glad he did. He never let me win at anything. I never beat my father at golf, ever. He passed at 70. And we didn't play a lot after I moved away and went to college. But I never beat him. I always wanted to. It was a goal of mine.
Right.
My son, every year in baseball, on the first day of the season and the last day of the season, very competitive. He would say, Dad, let's run the bases. And I would say, we're going to run the bases, but I'm going to pick them up and put them down. I'm going. I'm not holding back. Okay. Yeah. So we would start at home. I'd let him run the real way, and I'd run third, second, first. We'd pass somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And we did that every year of baseball season, the first day of practice and after his last game.
Yeah.
When he was a sophomore in high school, he told me before his first practice, this is the time. Because he had his man body on. He said, this is the time, Dad.
I got
Taking
you.
you down.
You've been smoking me for 8 years.
Yeah.
This is the time. And he said, and I want to do it in front of the whole team. I was helping coach his JV high school baseball team. And I'm thinking, and I had run with him a little in training, and I'm like, he can definitely go.
Right.
And I'm not a young chick anymore. So we did it, and I beat him by a step. And I thought to myself, enjoy that. That's the last time you're ever going to get over on Ray. But I saw how much it meant to him. And after his last game, his sophomore season, we did it again. And I knew before I ever took my first step, he's going to get me. And he did it in front of the whole team. And I thought it would be like, oh, man, that hurt.
Yeah.
I was almost happier than he was. Yeah. Because I saw how important it was to him.
Give it to him.
I'm pulling something.
If I would have gave it to him, it wouldn't have meant anything.
Kids, it's an important lesson for kids to learn how to lose.
It is important.
And show some class when you lose. I don't yell at my little league team. I don't yell at them. But I got a little loud at the end of our last game. Because they lost.
This is 2 days of you yelling at them.
Because they were taking too much time to get ready for the handshake line. And I pulled them aside after and I said, hey, I know it sucks to lose.
Yeah.
It does.
You got to shake the hand.
Lose.
I hate to tell
you.
you.
You show good sportsmanship when you lose.
Yeah.
You put your equipment away after. We're going to go shake hands and show class.
Yeah, no, that's a great lesson to teach them, and it's important.
I tell you what, I got a nephew. You bring that story up. I got a nephew who's entering high school for football.
Yeah.
He swears that he want to do one-on-ones.
Don't race him.
We're not racing. We literally, one-on-one football.
Okay.
But this is the thing. Hold on, I got to talk to America.
Is he a receiver?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He a receiver / quarterback. And I told him, listen, it's levels to this. Like I played at the highest level.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
telling you right now.
Yeah.
I'm not your friends. I will literally demoralize you from playing this game. He said he want to do it. I promise y'all, I'm gonna record it.
I want video.
That'd be awesome.
And you'll make him better.
I'm gonna treat this man like he Devontae Adams. I'm telling you. I'm not going like. I'm telling you. I got to do it.
I do think that's the best way with kids. I do. And the lessons of in losing, I always learned the most valuable lessons.
Yes.
And learning to lose with class is hard, but it's the most important lesson of losing. Okay, another question from LeBron. And this one's kind of touchy because so many of us wanted to see him in a slam dunk contest. And he says, if you can make an all-time dunk contest, which 4 players are you choosing? And you see his list down there, and he's in it.
I know.
Okay, so if you want to see a dunk contest with you in it, let all of us see that.
He talking in-game
That's
dunks.
ridiculous.
In-game.
This list is absurd. First of all, I don't want no Zach LaVine in my all-time.
I don't know why you
care
say
how
Where's
that.
Jordan? Where's Dr. J?
Great point on Dr. J.
That's nice, but
That's-
Zach LaVine.
Zach LaVine's one of the
Zach
best dunkers
LaVine
of
and
all
Aaron
time.
Gordon.
I don't care. Zach LaVine.
It was the greatest-
Forget him. I don't care how good a dunker he is.
It was the greatest
He's
dunking
not a
contest
superstar, though.
ever.
He's not a superstar. I want superstars.
It didn't move the needle. Everybody oohed and awed. But, man, what's the most talked about dunk contest of all time?
Yes.
And it's because you had superstar names in it.
The superstars used to always be in it.
And that was the fun of it. And the
Jordan
fact that,
dominated.
the fact
wait
that
a minute.
MJ,
Zach LaVine.
Zach LaVine ain't a superstar?
No.
he's not a superstar. He's
He said
a
all-star.
He's a sick dunker.
I'm about to say he's the greatest dunker I've seen in my life.
To me, he said it first. Vince Carter by far is the best dunker.
Vince Carter
Dunked over
definitely.
7 foot in a game.
He did do that.
And he's an in-game dunker
Mic drop.
too.
He
My
did.
problem with LeBron is See, here's the thing. I gotta get you together on this one, LeBron. Listen, you did the McDonald's All-American dunk contest.
Yeah.
And you did regularo dunks, extra medium sauce. They were not. You was jumping high. You was throwing it down hard. But you're not a
Creativity.
creative dunker
No,
like
he's
that.
not.
So
He's a
why
power
you,
dunker.
Why you put yourself in there like that?
Why wouldn't he
Dunk
put himself
contest
in there?
is a joke. They miss 14 times before they
Yes,
actually
It
make the
is,
dunk.
but
That's
this conversation, though,
Yeah.
isn't about the contest because I couldn't.
Fair.
I think
Fair.
they need to just drop the contest because they've
That's where
ruined
you
it.
at.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's awful.
This last one was
Just go
was,
look
was
at
awful.
social media, the last 3 dunk contests. Everybody wants this thing to go away.
Exactly.
So
Here's who I
Aaron
want.
Gordon.
I want Vince Carter.
Yep.
All
Okay.
right. I
One.
want MJ.
I'll take that.
I
All right.
love Dr. J.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I want Billy Ho from White Man Can't Jump.
You got 3 of the 4
Billy
right.
Ho, man.
You got
Barely
3 of the
got
4
up
right.
there.
The only guy you're missing is the most electric dunker I've ever seen in my life.
Dominique.
Spud Webb.
Spud
Spud
Webb.
Webb. That's a good one.
Spud Webb.
Love Spud Webb.
Yeah, Spud Webb's dope.
Dude, I stood next to him one time,
Yeah.
and he looked like my child. I could not believe how tiny
It's
he
amazing.
is in real
Gerald Green
5'7".
blew out a birthday candle. That's all I'm gonna say.
Gerald Green. Nobody even heard of Gerald
He blew
Green.
out a birthday candle.
Yeah, but
So
you
what?
they got so
You know how
gimmicky.
high you gotta get to do that?
It was pretty impressive. Okay, next question on the LeBron Q&A. You and me. Oh wait, are we gonna do? Are you skipping?
We're skipping Brady because we got to
Oh,
get
I
to
love
Tim
the
Couch.
Tom Brady
We'll get
one.
back to Tom Brady later.
We'll bring it back. This one was if you had to choose one teammate, past or present, in a 2v2 to play against MJ and Pippen, who are you choosing? Kobe, KD, or Kyrie?
First of all, I think it's lame that he brings up 3 guys. Pick one
We
guy.
didn't ask you
It
for
rhymes.
3.
It all rhymes.
We wanted one teammate.
You know, LeBron hedged his back. He was like, all right, well, Kobe is in L.A., Kyrie is my best teammate in Cleveland, and he's in the news. And KD is probably the second best player in the world. So I'm going to just go ahead and say all 3.
I'm surprised he didn't say Steph Curry. He said that's the one player he wanted to play with. Honestly,
Well, no, the question was a former teammate.
all of these answers is wrong.
Yeah.
It's one right answer. In they prime, Shaq.
Yeah, but
over with.
it had to be one of LeBron's teammates.
They played together in Cleveland.
Yeah,
Oh, you're right. At the
you're
end,
right.
I forgot about that.
That's
No,
wrong.
you know what?
Shaq, it's over.
Okay.
Scottie Pippen ain't checking
good
Shaq.
answer.
He just won the
It's over.
topic.
It's
Yeah,
over.
you just
Yeah.
won the
But
topic.
he didn't play with Kobe or KD.
On the Olympic team.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
On the
all
Olympic
right,
team.
That seems lame.
You're right.
No, that is kind of lame.
I agree with
They
Shaq.
were teammates
Shaq
on the
is
Olympic
over.
team,
Shaq
too.
is the way
Shaq
to
was.
go.
It's over.
You know what? So I want to focus in on your point.
Yeah.
What did you say about LeBron riding the fence?
Yeah, he
So LeBron is a
always
fence
does that.
rider.
Oh, yeah.
LeBron is all about the Yankees when the Indians weren't involved.
Right.
But when the Indians were involved, he's like, yo, it's my boys. He's at the 2016 screaming,
Same
going
with
nuts.
the Browns-Cowboys.
Same with the Browns-Cowboys.
Yeah.
He does do that.
He was at a Browns game on the sidelines wearing a Cowboys jersey, throwing the football with Tony Romo. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? He came to an Indians playoff game with a Yankees hat.
He did.
Like, I love LeBron. I really do. And I love LeBron, the person, more than the
bold for that,
player,
ain't he?
particularly for what he's doing for the city of Akron, which I just can't say enough about. But I just wish he wouldn't be a fence rider like
He
that.
didn't answer any of those questions.
No,
really,
he
except
didn't.
for the Bronny one, which we already knew the answer to.
He did answer the Tom Brady one, which is
did.
why we have to come back to it. Because Brady's
We will
question-
come back to that at the end of
Okay.
the show. We just got to get to Tim at 11:30.
Well, that's a great tease. We're going to come back to the Brady question to LeBron in the Q&A chat, because I thought it was the most creative question.
It was.
And LeBron answered that one. He actually gave us an answer. So
Yeah.
there's a tease. That's a reason to stick
He
around
answered it because Tom
later in
asked
the
it.
program. All right. You want to continue to the Kyrie comments right now?
No, how
Or
about
you
we
wanna
get back
break
to
it?
all that? Let's take a quick
Save it
break.
all?
We'll come back to Tim Couch.
Very good.
And then we'll get to the rest after.
All right, Tim Couch is coming up next. We're going to get his thoughts on my theory, what I started the show
Oh,
with.
my Lord.
It's gain and steam.
Just let it go. Let it go.
It's gain and steam.
Not happening.
We're going to ask Tim if he's more or less into that theory on Baker Mayfield perhaps taking snaps for the Browns this season. Tim Couch and Mikey McNugget's top 5 list when the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show comes back. Bro,
Hey,
when
it's
are we
Adam
doing the
Bull,
poll?
The ultimate
We were going to do the
Cleveland
poll
sports
today.
show, and I'll tell you what I think of when I think of Cleveland sports. It's that everybody loves it. I've been to other parts of the country, and there's people that love sports and people that don't care. But in Cleveland, everybody cares even a little bit from every walk of life, and that's what makes this city special. Whether it's football, baseball, or basketball, it doesn't matter. The people of Cleveland and Northeast Ohio love their teams like nowhere else in the country.
News you can trust should be news you can rely on.
And every night at 11 on What's Next, you can rely on us.
A new legal twist for Brown.
Today also marks the beginning of
We're here, and we are going to continue.
So the Guardians have to play almost. You can rely on us to help you go to bed better informed with stories that prepare you for tomorrow.
And with news that's relevant to your life. We'll make sure that you're ready for what's next.
Because being ready for tomorrow is what matters most.
We face challenges every day, some bigger than others, and we never know what's around the corner.
Through the highs and the lows, whatever we face it together. Each morning on Go, we are here with the facts, because what impacts you impacts all of us.
And understanding those facts helps us to make informed decisions for our families, our communities, and our future.
We are here for you every step of the way. Go, weekday mornings, 4:30 to 7 a.m.
Cleveland sports to me is bigger than anything. It's bigger than some people's marriages. They say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. No. Dallas is not America's team. Cleveland is America's team. And sports in Cleveland is a religion. It's a way of life. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter. Sports is a way for people in Cleveland to get together, and it's something that can't be replicated in Cleveland. Sports is a thing.
All right, we're back on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Thanks so much for joining us. We are thrilled right now to be joined with a Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show regular. He was a former #1 overall pick of the Cleveland Browns and one of the top 10 high school athletes as voted by ESPN of all time. I think Tim likes that as much as anything that he ever has accomplished, because there were some pretty heady names on that list. Tim Couch, the former Browns quarterback, joining us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Tim, how you doing, man? Good to see you again.
Tim.
I'm doing great. How you guys doing today?
We're doing good. I don't know if you heard any of our last segment. We were talking about the Q&A that LeBron put out on Twitter last night. Did you see any of that? Did you hear any of that? What's your biggest takeaway from it?
I didn't see it. What did he say?
Well, he took questions from Twitter folks, and his answers were funny. The one that we really just finished was LeBron can pick any teammate that he's ever played with for a 2v2 competition against Jordan and Pippen. Who is he taking? And he gave us 3 names: Kobe, KD, and Kyrie, which we thought was a total fence-riding cop-out answer.
I would have to agree.
Tyvis Powell said Shaq, and I thought that was a pretty damn good answer.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Shaq. I mean, who's going to – Scottie Pippen ain't bodying Shaq.
That's what I said.
You just got to foul him out. He can't hit free throws, right? He can't hit free throws.
I don't think the foul going to stop him. He's still going to go up and dunk that thing.
I didn't even have nothing. I wasn't even going to ask no questions, Tim. But now I've been spawned, and I thought of something. I said, okay, well, they asked LeBron. Now I'm going to ask you a question. You on the goal line. It's 4th down. 4th and about 5. You got a slant route or a fade call. What one receiver you taking with all the money on the line? If you want to throw it to
that he played with?
That you played with.
Oh, that'll be easy.
Oh, that I played with. I would take Kevin Johnson. Kevin was a guy, man. He had the had the best hands. He could make the most contested catches. He was a guy that could catch. Guy with guys hanging all over him. He could go up and get it. So Kevin was my guy. We came in together as rookies, and got off to a good start together in the NFL. So I would definitely take KJ.
Yeah, they had some nice hookups. No question about it.
Tim, did you, if a wide receiver, we always hear about like Tom Brady, if you're not doing the right thing in practice or whatever, you're dropping balls, like you're off the list. From your perspective, did you lose faith in a receiver quickly if he dropped the ball, if he was dropping the ball too much? Or did you just go back?
I didn't have a whole lot of options, to be honest with you. So I didn't have too many guys to say you're out, bring the next guy in. So
he'd like to throw it to someone else.
Those guys.
That's true. You didn't really have much time to stand up the way they were not protecting you either. So
yeah, for sure. But no, I know what you mean. I would get on guys a little bit in practice, but I never was one of those quarterbacks who would say, I'm not going to throw you the ball in the game if you don't do this. I was just kind of more of a corrector, go over and try to help guys and say, this is what I expect out of you on this play, or how I want to see you run this route, or come out of this break, or do this or that. So I was more, just trying to get on the same page with them and trying to get them ready for the game.
All right, Tim, let's talk about these current Browns. I think when you were on last week, I brought up the idea that keeping Baker as an insurance policy if Deshaun gets a lengthy suspension, I know it's not ideal. I even say it probably won't happen, but I do like the idea of keeping him there as an insurance policy because it's all about winning games, and if you look at the rostered quarterbacks, I think he's going to give you the best chance to win over Jacoby Brissett. Ian Rapoport, who, of course,
is a weasel.
Bull does not like him. I will say he's very well respected in the industry. He gets stories, but in this case, this isn't a story. This is his opinion. But Tim, he's kind of co-signing my theory that the guys have been killing me over for the last 2 weeks. He said on the Pat McAfee show this week, if there's a lengthy suspension, it actually makes sense for everyone to bury the thing and for him to go out and start and maybe do well and maybe get traded mid-season. He went on to say it could be good for both if they can just bury the feelings and move on. You say what?
I would agree with that. I was saying last week on the show that, Baker Mayfield's a professional at the end of the day. And I know that, he has his differences with the Browns now, and they've kind of, went their separate ways of how they feel about each other. But at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield's going to make, $19 million this year? He needs to go out and play if his number is called. If Deshaun is suspended for a certain amount of time and they want Baker to play, then he needs to, go out and perform and put on film that, show guys, because he's healthy this year. He can go out and show what a healthy Baker Mayfield can do. And if he goes out and winning games and playing well and looking like the Baker Mayfield that we've seen at times throughout his career, then of course the trade options are going to go through the roof. People are going to want to bring him in when he shows what he can do when he's a healthy quarterback back there. And so I know it's going to be tough on him, emotionally, but you got to put the emotions to the side when you're making $19 million and this is your job. If your number is called upon, you walk out there and you go play the best ball you can play and try to win games for your team.
I get what Tim's saying, and I get what you're saying, Jay, but ultimately, there's nothing in Baker's history that makes me believe he's going to be mature enough to do that.
I think it is. I think Baker always talks about playing with a chip on his shoulder. He always wants to prove people wrong. I can see him doing it. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea.
Tyvis is on Team Baker.
Hold on, wait a minute. No, don't put that on me. No,
he's in his feelings
so you're just answering his point. That I agree with you, Ty.
What I'm saying,
this guy loves being told he can't do something.
Right, and I think that could fuel him to end up doing it. Because like Tim said, it makes sense for him to go out there and prove that the shoulder is healed. I am still a good franchise quarterback, And yes, trade me when Deshaun comes back. It really would help him out the most.
Sam, let me ask you this question. You kind of went through this a little bit with Kelly Holcomb, right? You were the number one guy. Kelly Holcomb was the backup. Kelly Holcomb comes in, he plays a little bit. And how were you able to deal with that and get through that of having two guys that one guy, both of you guys felt you guys could play, but how did you handle that as a starter?
That was tough because, the way that situation took place was, the year we went to the playoffs, I was the starting quarterback. I took the team to the playoffs, and the last game of the year, we had to beat the Falcons to get into the playoffs, and I broke my leg in the second or third quarter of that game and couldn't play in the playoff game against Pittsburgh, and obviously Kelly came in and had an unbelievable game, and then we come back next year, opening day, I'm thinking, of course I'm going to be the starting quarterback. I just took this team to the playoffs and unfortunately had a leg injury. But Butch Davis decides to start Kelly in the first game, and I'm sitting over there, the number one pick. I'd been through the worst of times with this team as a franchise coming back in 1999, and I felt like, I'd earned the right to be the starter. And, I had an unfortunate injury, but I was playing well. So Kelly and I, we were okay with it. We just got to the point where we got sick of it, man, to be honest with you, because it got to the point that last year where Butch Davis was going, if Kelly had a good game, he would stay in. If Kelly played bad, I would go in, and vice versa. So we felt like we had to be perfect every time we took the field, man. And for a quarterback, that's a tough way to go out and feel like you can't make a mistake, because you're going to make mistakes. It's the NFL. You're going to have turnovers. You're going to have bad games. But as a quarterback, even if you start the game terribly in the first half, you think you're going to come back in the second half and throw 3 touchdowns and get your team right back in it. But, we were going back and forth, even in mid-game sometimes. So it was a tough situation for us. And I can tell you, as players, we were extremely frustrated with it. And we just wished he would pick a guy and stick with it.
That's absurd. I mean, you think about it now, how stupid it was, how he handled that was absolutely ridiculous. How either one of you can get in a rhythm when you're stressed about, I make one bad throw, I'm going to be taken out of the game. It's ridiculous. Was he even bad? Like, the communication going into the season, was it poor?
Yeah, it was. I remember he called me to his office during training camp and told me he was going to start Kelly in the opener, and I was very upset, very frustrated with his decision, and thought that, like I said, I thought I had earned the right to be the starting quarterback of that football team. What I'd been through, the ups and the downs, and finally we were getting to a point where we were a pretty good team. We just made the playoffs, and I felt like we could, continue to build this thing, and now we're going to make a quarterback change. And I expressed my frustrations to him, but I said, listen, at the end of the day, I'm still under contract with this team, and if you call my name, I'm going to go in and play. I'm going to prepare every week like I'm going to be the starter, and that's what I think. That's what you kind of have to do, and it's very similar to what Baker's in now. It is very emotional. You get upset when you feel like like Baker was in a situation when he first got to Cleveland. They were 0-16 the year before he got there, and he took them to the playoffs and won a playoff game, and he probably feels like he deserves the right to be the quarterback of that franchise. But you got to put your emotions to the side and realize you're auditioning for other teams, and you're trying to, if you want to leave Cleveland and be out of there and get a job somewhere else, go audition and play the best you can play when your number's called. And then anytime you get an opportunity in the NFL to get on the field, man, you got to take advantage of it, because those opportunities can be limited and they can be gone real quick. Like my situation, I had shoulder injuries when I got to Green Bay, and I thought once I left Cleveland, I was going to go play somewhere for another 10 years or so, and it just didn't work out that way. So you just never know when it's going to be over for you.
Boy, that's such a great point. Opportunities come and go, and we've seen guys go from a franchise starting quarterback in their first contract to a clipboard guy and out of the league in warp speed, and it's not unthinkable that this could happen to Baker Mayfield. Yeah. That's why I say
Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, all those guys in a couple of years could be out of the league.
Yeah. Well, there are guys that have already come and gone. Like, I think when RG3 came in, if somebody would have said 10 years from now, dude will be out of the league.
And Kirk Cousins will be making $40 million.
Yes, and he just dropped a 440 at the draft and proved he can still run, and he's out of the league. So, Tim, to your point, it's such a fickle position. I think the roller coaster that Baker rode for 18 months, the win in the playoffs against Pittsburgh, to having the team trade for another quarterback, is one of the most whirlwind roller coaster rides I've ever seen a quarterback take. And if he gets an opportunity to take snaps again in Cleveland, and he doesn't want to do that because his feelings are hurt,
That's bad.
I think that's
It's
a sign
bad
of
look.
no maturity.
No doubt.
I think it's mature
Yeah.
to do what Tim was saying he
I
should
agree.
do.
Yeah.
And that's stick around, prove that you're a pro, because 31 other teams are watching.
yeah.
My only thing about
Yep.
it is how would the players respond to that? I
I
feel like
think-
that.
well,
I feel like the chemistry in the locker room is kind of.
We asked, we had Greg Newsome on earlier. Now, I
Yeah.
know earlier in the last week, and I know that he's a defensive guy, and Tim, you can speak to this too. And Ty, you know, when you're in that locker room, you're in the foxhole.
Yes.
And Tim, I can't imagine that anybody holds Baker responsible for all of this drama that's happened. Maybe they say he should have tapped out last year and not played, but I don't know that anybody in that locker room would be looking at him and saying, I am not taking the field with this dude.
You know, I don't think that would ever be the situation, Jay. I think it's going to be a situation where guys in the locker room, yeah, it will be a little weird to see Baker back out there if he does walk back in the huddle with those guys. But I think all guys want to see is, are you committed? Are you in this thing? Are you fully prepared? Are you studying? Are you out here to win football games? Are you trying to be the best player you can be? Or are you in this thing, kind of half-hearted? And, I think if he shows that he's all in, if his number's called and he walks in there and he's working his butt off and guys see him studying and preparing hard, I think then they'll be all in with him. But, it will be a little awkward at first, but I think, like I said, it's all going to be determined by how Baker's attitude is once he takes the field with those guys and how they see him in meetings and on the practice field and getting in preparation for games and stuff.
Tim, as I sit here and listen to it, I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield guy, but if I'm his agent or if I'm part of his team, would you consider just calling up the Browns and say, hey, look, Baker, he's rehabbing right now. Let us get back into the facility. Let us work. Let us get into camp, and let's try to figure out whether we can help each other, because the ultimate goal is to get you to another place. Maybe if he sat down with possibly the front office and say, hey, let's go out here and let me practice a little bit. Let me people see me, and from reach out to Deshaun Watson and let him know, hey, I'm not here to try to step on no toes. I'm just here trying to get another shot, just like you got another shot, right? You had a place in the Texans. Would you consider doing something like that as a player?
I think that's a really good point. I think that would be a very good thing for Baker to do, just to get out there. Like I said, it's all about showing people that you're healthy now. Because what we saw of Baker last year, especially towards the end of the year when he was so banged up, was not good. He was throwing the ball all over the place. His accuracy was off. He didn't look good. He didn't look like the Baker Mayfield that we have seen at times throughout his career when he was, playing at a pretty high level. So, if I'm Baker, I want to be in there. I want to be training. It's one thing to say I'm going to work out here, work out with this quarterback coach or that, but it's just not the same as it is when you're around a football team and you're getting prepared to play a season. I think the only way you can get ready for that is to be there in the facility and get ready to do those things. And, it's, I think it would be very, very beneficial to Baker to call up the Browns and just like you said, just say, hey, I want to be in the facility. I'm not trying to step on toes. I'm just trying to get myself ready to play in case you guys need me to open the season if Deshaun is suspended and get myself ready to go somewhere else. It's a great opportunity for both sides. Baker to, show he's healthy and have other teams interested. And it's great for the Browns as well to have him there and show that he's committed if his number is called upon.
Tim, I'm curious your take on something else that's not Baker related, but it's kind of a story that's really nobody's talking about it at all. I thought it was a big deal at the time. The Browns cut J.C. Tretter, their starting center, veteran, one of the best centers in the game, and a guy who never gets hurt, right? He's been banged up, but he never misses games. To save with $10 million, whatever it was, and they're going probably with this kid Nick Harris, who's got some promise. But if I'm a team trying to win, I don't love the idea of cutting a proven veteran, not just average, excellent center. When I have a quarterback who's new to the system, now he's going with a young center. What did you think of that move? I understand you got to play with the cap, but I would have played with it somewhere else. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That center position is extremely important, especially for a quarterback who's new to the system. You're talking about a guy with Tretter who knows the system, who knows the calls, who knows all the offensive line, the slide protections, when to get out of running plays and things like that. I know when I first got to Cleveland, we had a veteran center in Dave Wollaball who had been in the league forever, who was Bledsoe's guy in New England, and being a rookie and him being, whatever he was at the time, 7 or 8 year veteran. It helped me tremendously, just being at the line of scrimmage, seeing fronts and seeing, where blitzes were coming from and helping me out. Like, he would turn around to me literally my first couple of games and be like, because, at UK, at Kentucky, I was in a totally different system than I was in the NFL, and I wasn't making a lot of those offensive line calls. So he was really helping me out those first few games, saying, hey, listen, you need to slide the protection, or you need to get out of this play. We can't run into this look. So just having a veteran guy like that you trust at that center position, man, is extremely important. And, I'm with you on that call. I think I would went in another direction to save some money somewhere else.
I think they looked at Harris and just made the assessment that he's ready. Now, whether or not he is, we don't know. But
Shredder's not just a guy.
He's not just a guy.
He's a stud center.
He's a top-tier guy.
Yeah.
One thing, Tim, that I wanted to get you addressed, because you talk about the cap and the money and all of that, and folks, when they look at the quarterback position and they know that it takes up a big chunk of the cap, when you look at how this current Browns roster is constituted, you've got a $20 million total between Baker and Watson. And everybody keeps looking at, well, Baker's going to make $19 million. Yeah, well, Watson's going to make $1 million. And I think that changes the entire equation. If Watson was to be paid $25 million this year, the Browns would have already released Baker, because they couldn't carry both of those. Obviously, they're going to be responsible for that money. I think they're saying, if we're going to pay him, we've got our starting quarterback on the cheap for $1 million. We'd rather pay him and do nothing for us but be an insurance policy, rather than pay him and let him go somewhere else.
Well, that makes sense.
So I think that boils into this whole equation and this theory that I've sort of developed that everybody thinks I'm nuts about. Tim, one last question before we go to top 5. Yesterday we talked about the idea that Deshaun Watson's going to take the entire offense to the Bahamas. But in that report, it was mentioned that Baker Mayfield is not likely to go. So our topic yesterday was, if you're Watson, do you invite him? If you're Baker, do you go? How would you handle this?
If I'm Deshaun, I do invite him, but I don't think Baker's going to go on that trip. I think Baker, like you guys, Baker's got a pretty big ego, and he's pretty hurt right now. So I don't think he feels like he's wanted on that trip. I don't think he's ever going to go on that trip unless he thinks he's the guy that's going to be running the offense, for the Browns this year. So I don't think he's going to go on that trip. But, I think it's a really good thing what Deshaun is doing, trying to bond with his teammates, getting involved with guys off the field and getting to know them away from football is always a great thing, and to take them all to the Bahamas is unbelievable. I used to get guys and, go on some trips here and there during the offseason. I wasn't taking the entire offense. Of course, I didn't have $230 million guaranteed either, but I would get with guys, away from football. I think you really developed a lot of chemistry and a lot of, really good relationships, getting guys away from football and getting to know who they are as a person instead of just an athlete.
Off-site bonding trips, they work. Mikey, we're going to top 5? All right, Tim, you're going to stick around for top 5. Is that cool? I know you got to be out of here at 53.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're looking at the clock. So go ahead, Mikey.
All right, so this was an Anthony producer suggestion. Top 5 3-point shooters in NBA history. I know Tim played basketball, and I've been getting crushed for these lists. So I have to establish some credibility on this end. So honorable mention on this list. Steve, let's pull up the honorable mention here. Yeah, it's me. It's me. Steve, let's roll the video. Steve, roll the video.
Yeah, no one's going to push you for that, Mikey.
Listen, any haters out there, it's 17 in a row. We're not going to play it all, but this could go forever. So when I'm talking 3-point shooters, just know Mikey McNuggets still got the strap.
A lefty.
It's 17 in a row. Look, we'll speed it up. Let this keep rolling. As we go to the next one.
That's a pretty good-looking shot, man.
Yeah, listen.
Are you a set shooter, huh?
Yeah, I don't dribble. I just shoot.
And 17 in a row, Tim, isn't that impressive because it's from the same exact spot.
Really? And nobody's playing defense.
Yeah, we got to move around a little
Wait
bit.
a minute. Mike, listen, I ain't going to let them hate on
his own shot, though. That does throw you out of rhythm a little bit. He doesn't have a guy down there rebounding and feeding.
That's fair.
That's true.
Yeah.
So just saying, we're talking 3-point shooters. I know a little bit what I'm talking about here. So let's get to the list.
He just did that so he can put that link now. On his dating profile.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Shooter, sniper.
Wait till we pull out the high school mixtape next week.
All right, give us your real top 5 now.
Real top 5. Number 5, Larry Bird.
Ooh,
Larry
too low.
can't be 5.
I respect it.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. The
Depending on
numbers aren't necessarily there, but you go play pickup anywhere, Texas, Tennessee, New Jersey, Boston, Cleveland, when I start playing, every old guy shoots like Larry Bird from behind the head. So that's transcendent.
Well, that's because we have to shoot that way.
You can't like, guys didn't shoot threes like they do now.
That was their fault.
They weren't volume.
It is their fault.
Well, the analytics guys hadn't figured out yet.
It wasn't part of the game. The game was different then.
It depends on the rest of the list.
Yeah, we'll see.
Tim,
I gotta see the rest of the list.
Larry Bird, I mean, without even seeing the rest of the list, are you okay with Larry being number 5?
I've got Larry number 2 on my list.
No,
actually.
There we go. There we go.
You got him.
So I liked it. I like that Tim has a list. Okay, what's your number 4, Mikey?
Listen, Tim is my guy. He's so wrong. He's number 5.
Okay.
Number 4, Klay Thompson holds the NBA record, 14 threes in a single game.
I'll take that.
Over 40% from 3 in each of his first 8 seasons.
Yeah.
He's an elite shooter.
Okay.
You play defense anymore.
I can't argue with that.
I can't be mad at it. That's a good pick because I would have picked him at 4 too.
I love your list so far.
I'm about to say you good in my book.
Tim, what do you think? I mean, I don't know how you don't have Klay in your top 5. Do you?
I don't have him in my top 5, but he is certainly worthy of it. An unbelievable shooter, man. You can't go wrong. It's a tough thing to break it down to just top 5, but Klay is you can't argue with Klay.
He got
All right. Okay. So
This
I get that means there's going to be 2 Warriors on the top 5.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
In an era where 3-point shots are king, I don't know how they don't have 6 rings already. Okay, what's number 3? Who's number 3?
Number 3, Reggie Miller.
Thank you.
There he is.
Oh, you got a good list.
Hey, up top.
Hey, how about this for a number?
Good list.
During the era he played, only 14.5% of shots were threes. 37.5% of Miller's shots were from beyond the arc, and he shot 40% for his career.
So he might have been the guy that figured it out first.
Listen.
Like
Reggie Miller was awesome.
Just based on that stat, he was doing it so much more than anybody.
If your first 2 is what I think it is, what everybody in America know it should be, your list is just as good as mine. That's exactly what my list was.
Wow.
Roll it.
Roll the
Reggie's on your top 5, isn't he, Tim?
Oh yeah, I got Reggie at number 3.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. I think 1 and 2 are. Go ahead.
Right
Mike.
on line. Number 2, let's go. It's Ray Allen.
Okay.
Steph Curry broke
Okay.
his record. Ray Allen led the NBA in career 3-point makes forever. He has the biggest 3-point shot maybe in NBA history. Ray Allen, picture perfect jump shot.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can argue with that.
Nope.
I really don't.
Your list.
By the way, as beautiful as his jumper is, his golf swing is that pretty too. I don't know why the guy isn't playing.
Does have a great golf swing for sure.
Tim, I know you're a big golfer too. Like, looks like he should be on the tour.
Play. I'll tell you what, Steph Curry's got a beautiful golf swing as well. He can really play too, man.
Yes,
Those guys, there's something about those shooters have a great golf swing.
It's that repetitive motion thing. I mean, shooting is muscle memory and repetition, and so is golf swing.
What about Michael Jordan?
Mike, I never thought he was a pure 3-point shooter, and I don't think he's a pure golf swing either.
Okay. Charles Barkley's got the worst golf.
Charles Barkley's golf swing is the worst I've ever seen.
The worst.
But Jordan, Jordan's not as good a golfer as Jordan thinks he is, and most of America thinks he is.
Yeah.
Tim would definitely. Tim, what are you, scratch?
No, not right now. I played about a 10. Went through some swing changes, and I was down to I think like a 7 was the lowest I got to. But then I made a few swing changes. But I'll tell you what, my brother is a scratch golfer, man, and he beats me. I can't not beat him, even when I'm like close with a few holes to go. Something always happens. My brother always beats me, man. So we play a lot of golf together.
Those scratch
He's
guys.
a really good player.
I'm a scratch guy.
You scratch golfer?
I've never played golf.
So you're scratch.
My man.
Tim, Tyvus has figured it out.
We didn't play golf in Brooklyn.
Tyvus has figured it out. Okay, and your number 1, this is the most anticlimactic number 1 of all time, but go ahead.
It is Steph Curry, and contrary to what you guys just said, I'm a terrible golfer too, despite being an elite 3-point shooter, so it's not just repetition.
Elite.
I'm a terrible golfer, as equally bad as I am good at shooting. So, Steph Curry's the easy number 1. The list was really 3 through 5, and I'm glad that you guys finally agreed with some of my takes.
This is the list.
I 100% agree. That's my list.
That's my
there.
5 too.
That's my list.
Tim, who did you have in instead of Klay Thompson?
Yeah, who did you have in the list that Mikey didn't?
So the only one I had different was I had Dirk Nowitzki.
Okay.
That's a good one.
It's a good pick.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love Dirk as a shooter. I just don't know who I'm going to take off of that top 5 because that's so iconic.
I would just switch the order a little bit.
You would have.
I would have had Bird 2, Reggie 3. Oh, he had Reggie 3. And then Ray Allen 4 and Klay Thompson 5.
That's wrong.
That would have been mine.
No Kevin Durant?
No.
It's tough, man. There's some great
sniper.
shooters now.
I mean, the guys
It is
now,
tough.
they're not being defended like they were
James
back
Harden is like, isn't James Harden fourth on the list now?
then. James Harden's
James Harden is the
Yeah, he's
third
way up
most
there.
makes of all time.
Come on now.
Third most makes of all time.
Yeah, but see, I don't think you can go on makes. I want to go off percentages because it's such a volume game now.
Yeah.
Guys are just jacking up
James
threes
Harden's
so
a
much more
chucker.
often. Tim, your game, you were a great high school basketball player. You mentioned on the show last week that you actually wanted to play for Pitino when he had basically an NBA team there when you were playing football.
Yeah.
Describe your game. And by the way, I covered Tim when he was in the 8th grade playing boys varsity basketball.
That's amazing.
And it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So describe your game to those that aren't familiar.
I was a two guard, so I was a 3-point shooter, and I could jump. I could really run and jump, and I had a lot of dunks and things like that. But I was more of a just a pure shooter, man. I could certainly shoot the ball as well as anyone at the high school level that I was playing against. I was making a lot of threes. I don't know where I stand now, but I think I was in the top 10 all time in the state of Kentucky for most points scored. I scored over 3,000 points in high school.
Which is saying something in Kentucky.
You still play,
yeah, so,
Tim? Do you still play? You still play pickup?
No, I don't. I don't play. I mess around with my kids and stuff, just shooting around and stuff like that. But I haven't played anything competitively, like getting up and down the court or anything like that in a long time.
Tim could go to clubs in the 8th grade and not be carded if he wanted to.
Tim.
Tim was a man when he was in the 8th grade.
I was a grown man in 8th grade, man.
You and Richie Farmer. You and Richie Farmer.
That's right.
Tim, right now, me and you versus Michael Jordan and Scotty, we winning, right? Listen, we're gonna depend on you. You gotta stand in the corner and just knock them down. I'm a facilitate.
Okay,
I think I can do that.
What if we played at 21 and we spot you guys 14? Can you score 7 before they get 21?
Yeah, we can score 7.
I like your chances
You guys
too.
were professional athletes also.
Now Mike don't miss though. Mike.
And he's got a killer instinct to him too. Yeah. Tim, always good, my friend.
Thanks, Tim.
Great to see you, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate you, man.
Sounds good.
Couch.
Appreciate you guys. Thank
You bet. Tim Couch on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're taking a break, right? We're going to step aside. When we come back, we've got much more to go on today's program. Bull is seeing red on the Guardians and a decision that was made in last night's game that I wholeheartedly agree with. We're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about the idea that divisions in the Big Ten might disappear in 2023.
Yes.
Tyvis with some great thoughts on that. When we come right back, stay with us.
Hey, it's Adam the Bull for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and I'll tell you what I think of when I think of Cleveland sports. It's that everybody loves it. I've been to other parts of the country, and there's people that love sports and people that don't care. But in Cleveland, everybody cares even a little bit from every walk of life, and that's what makes this city special. Whether it's football, baseball, or basketball, it doesn't matter. The people of Cleveland and Northeast Ohio love their teams like nowhere else in the country.
News you can trust should be news you can rely on.
And every night at 11 on What's Next, you can rely on us.
A new legal twist for Brown.
Today also marks the beginning of
We're here, and we are going to continue.
So the Guardians have to play almost.
You can rely on us to help you go to bed better informed with stories that prepare you for tomorrow.
And with news that's relevant to your life. We'll make sure that you're ready for what's next.
Because being ready for tomorrow is what matters most.
We face challenges every day, some bigger than others, and we never know what's around the corner.
Through the highs and the lows, whatever we face it together. Each morning on Go, we are here with the facts, because what impacts you impacts all of us.
And understanding those facts helps us to make informed decisions for our families, our communities, and our future.
We are here for you every step of the way. Go, weekday mornings, 4:30 to 7 a.m.
Cleveland sports to me is bigger than anything. It's bigger than some people's marriages. They say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. No. Dallas is not America's team. Cleveland is America's team. And sports in Cleveland is a religion. It's a way of life. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter. Sports is a way for people in Cleveland to get together, and it's something that can't be replicated in Cleveland. Sports is a thing.
All right, we're back. Real quick, G, the internet thinks that we missed one.
Yeah, internet thinks we missed a couple. These are not it. Neo says Steve Kerr. Sorry, bro.
Stop it.
Not on the list.
Steve Kerr.
Wayne says Bruce Bowen. Stop, bro.
No.
We can't get to that.
They reaching.
Reach. Ron Hampton may have got it. Ron says Kyle Korver.
Oh, stop. Give me a break.
Kyle Korver, listen, Kyle Korver, by volume, Kyle Korver has been shooting threes.
That's a fact.
Since he played for the Sixers when they had.
So who are they taking off the list?
Yeah, that's my
That's
thing.
the question.
Like, the list is
because the
too
list
good.
is solid.
They're saying Larry
And by the way,
Bird.
you had to make some big three-point shots.
Larry,
Larry Bird is off the
I'm
list.
on the fence with the
Kyle
Larry.
Korver making big three-point shots.
I mean, he hits a lot of them.
I'm about to say.
Well, here's the thing.
When
all
it
the
mattered in the
time.
playoffs?
Did you ever see Larry Bird play live, you young pup?
No.
Okay,
And see, I imagine that Wayne or whoever that was with that nonsense probably never saw Larry Bird live either.
Doesn't
Go
Kyle
ask Magic Johnson if he took
Yeah.
Larry Bird or Kyle Korver.
Overall players,
give me a break.
that's fine. Overall,
No,
right?
just we're talking shooters.
But here's the thing. I don't.
That's insulting
we
that you
can't-
would even say
we
overall.
can't-
Because Kyle Korver couldn't hold Larry Bird's job.
Doesn't he have like the career percentage
Yes.
of made
Yeah,
threes?
that's why people were saying he needs to be on the list.
So here's the problem with these guys now. The old dudes, they want to sneak an 80s dude in
Oh,
every
yeah,
list.
yeah.
Jordan is the best.
God.
Magic's the best passer.
Bull.
Larry Bird's
An
the best
80s
shooter.
dude now is an old dude.
He not wrong with
You know
this
what?
right now.
You're not wrong, but you just wait.
Listen.
You just wait until you become
Dude,
the
you
old
ain't
man.
that young.
I'm 40.
You're not that young.
And I saw him older
And
than
Jordan was a 90s dude. What are you talking about?
No. Jordan started playing in '85. That's
Yeah,
midway
but
through the
but-
decade.
But Bird Magic are 80s.
If
and
your
Jordan's
shorts
90s.
was short,
I'm with
you
you, Bo.
80 game, 80s baby.
Yeah.
But by the way, Steph Curry, it's like Steph Curry then everybody.
Well, that's
That's
what's
a
funny
fact.
is name a top 5 list in sports where there's no argument who's number 1.
None.
Right.
Every
Zero.
argument you can come up with, there's a debate.
Quarterback in the NFL history.
Okay, you're right. You got me. So it's Brady and Curry.
Wait a minute.
But
Cornerback in NFL history.
corner in history.
Both.
No,
Quarter
well,
and corner.
Dion probably.
It's Dion and it's everybody else.
right?
It's Tom Brady and then
He's
it's everybody
killing
else.
the game.
I know.
His
Yeah.
rebuttal
Listen,
game is on
listen,
100.
I'm
I shouldn't have
I'm
gone.
on-
Well, the corner game he's going to get us
I'm
on.
only
Darryl Green.
28 years old, but y'all
Yeah,
young.
Darryl Green. You don't remember Darryl Green. Darryl Green, when he was 40, was running like a 4.4.
Yeah.
That dude could jet and was a great corner.
Yeah.
Wasn't flashy.
I agree with
Dion.
that. I give you that.
Okay. Right
Seeing
to,
red.
Right to seeing red. So let's explain what this is. Bull, what is seeing red?
I'm very. People that know me know I tend to get angry about things.
Really?
Things that fire me up.
I want to
right?
see if you get red.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I'll actually turn red. I don't want to have a heart attack here, but I'm pretty fired up.
Before
about
you start it, I
Yeah.
don't want you to go into your rant. I want
Yeah.
you to explain a little bit about what it is. Like
what it is when I get ticked off, I
Yeah.
start yelling and screaming and acting like a lunatic.
So it's essentially an Adam rant.
Yeah, I mean,
his face might get red.
You know, right? A bull,
And
an
this is-
actual bull sees red, he goes bananas.
Yeah,
So
and
I
here it
see
is
red, I
now.
go
Without
bananas.
further ado, our very first seeing red.
I'm so angry. Let me tell you something. We got a lot of idiots in Cleveland and everywhere, not just in Cleveland. But I shouldn't say a lot, but there's a handful of people that every year start this nonsense about how Terry Francona's overrated or a manager doesn't matter. These people have once again proven to be absolute morons. Terry Francona is one of, if not the best manager in baseball, and has been for decades. He started his career in Philadelphia as a manager. He was okay there. But since going to Boston, this guy has probably, in my opinion, been the best manager in the game. And in Cleveland, he's been phenomenal. Now, ultimately, they failed to win the World Series in 2016, and you could put some of the blame on him for that. There's no doubt about it. But Joe Madden, who won the World Series, he made a bunch of mistakes in that World Series and ended up getting lucky. The Guardians have had a lousy payroll. They've had, in the last couple of years, not a particularly good roster, and yet every year they stay in it. Last night, we saw yet another example of why Terry Francona is so important to this team. Because the interim manager decided he was going to bring in his closer, Emmanuel Clase, in the ninth inning when his team is already losing. I hate when managers do this. The only time Francona really ever does that is if it's been a long time since his closer's pitched. You don't want them to go forever without getting some work. That I get. And especially early in the season, you want to get guys loose. So he did pitch Clase once in April when he hadn't pitched in a while. It's early in the season, I get it. But now we're far enough into the season that I'm not just throwing him out there to throw him out there. You're playing the worst team in baseball. The worst team, the Cincinnati Reds. And you're bringing in your closer when you're losing? That's a wasted appearance. Whether you like it or not, the pitchers today have a different mindset. And the closers don't like coming in when the team's losing. They often don't pitch well, especially inexperienced closers like Clase, who's only been a closer for about a year. He's got a lot of talent. I know Jay doesn't love him. I like him more than Jay does. But he's got a lot of talent. But you don't bring him in these you're losing to the Reds by 1 run. What is the point of using him here? And then, of course, he's not at his best, and he gives up a run. And then you tie the game up with a 2-run homer, big time by Owen Miller. He comes through, ties the game. Then you go to extra innings. Nick Sandlin can't throw the ball off the freaking plate. He walks 3 guys in a row, and you don't take him out. Now, okay, in fairness, after that, he did bounce back. But just because it worked out in the end after you gave up a run doesn't mean you did the right thing. Francona would not have handled it that well. I can't. If you got to walk 3 straight freaking batters and walk in a run like it's my Little League team, I can't have you out there in a big spot. How he left him in, again, he got lucky and they didn't give up any more runs. He did bounce back. But you can't do that. And I think they showed inexperience in the manager department. And that's I got a huge problem with that. And that shows you once again. I don't care what I love analytics. I believe in analytics and the use of them. But sometimes it gets overstated how they try to downplay the manager's importance. And anybody that plays baseball, anybody that played baseball at a high, even in the high school level, Little League level, you know how important the manager is. And a good manager makes a huge difference. Terry Francona does. And I think if he's the manager, they win last night.
I agree with your premise. Your overall premise is that the manager does make a difference.
Yeah.
I hate in baseball that the system now has deprioritized the manager. That's because analytics have taken over the game.
Yes.
And most franchises, look at the A's. They have thought this way forever.
Yeah.
Look where they are, by the way. Most franchises, the more they go into analytics, they believe that the manager at that point is just pulling levers that the numbers are telling you to pull. Yeah. By the way, I hate that. There's got to be a gut reaction. There's got to be that human element, and that's why you're right. Terry is the best manager in the game. Terry makes more of a difference because he's good than all of these other managers that are just going by the book.
Right.
The book says here. I will counterpoint some of the points, the individual points you made. So why on earth would they bring Clase in? It wasn't just to get him work. It was because they were playing the worst team in baseball, the Reds, and it was because they knew that they could get to the top of the order in the bottom of the inning and perhaps win. So the strategy there was, let's go to Clase to keep it a 1-run game. As a rule, I hate that.
I don't like it.
In fact, you mentioned most relievers don't like coming in if they don't have the lead. Most relievers don't like coming in a tie game either.
They don't.
Particularly closers.
Yes.
It's done more than you would think, but they don't like doing it, and they're creatures of habit. When they run out of that bullpen, typically it's an all-or-nothing mentality. I got to get 3 outs to get the win, to get the save, but for the team to get the win. So the thinking was, let's hold it to a 1-run game. Let's get the top of our order up and see if we can push 2 runs across. If Clase had done his job, that move would have looked like an all-time genius move. Now listen, I know what you're going to say.
Right, yeah, go ahead.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I was saying at the time, wow, why are they going with Clase here?
Yeah.
But as I started thinking it through, I was saying to keep it a 1-run game. So if he does his job, which against the Reds, he should be 3 up, 3 down in the 9th. Let's hit. Yeah. Let's get 2 and let's go home. He doesn't do his job. To your point that I don't like him as much as you do.
Yeah.
I love that a guy can throw 100, but not if it's 100 and it's straight every time. He doesn't use his slider effectively enough, and his fastball has little to no movement on it. Guys are going to crush 100 all day long because they can do it. They see it now more than they did before.
But he's still a very young pitcher.
I get that.
He missed the whole season with a suspension.
I know. And I don't want to make it seem like I don't like him, by the way.
Yeah.
I do like him. I don't like him as much as you do.
Right. There's just so few reliable closers. I think he's pretty good.
Right. I agree.
Wait a minute.
But
how about putting him in there and seeing what he does. Like, you don't know what you have on your roster until you put somebody in the situation.
Well, we know what he is. We've seen him enough. We know what he is.
I just don't want to. If I have other guys in the like. I know in that situation, unless I score 2, which they did, but most of the time you're not going to score 2.
No, I know most of the
then
time.
I'm going to need another reliever anyway, so put that guy first.
We have the benefit of the results when we have this conversation.
Right, but I was saying it beforehand.
I was too.
Yeah.
I was second-guessing it. I'm like, why is he doing it? And then in the moment I'm saying, oh, I get it. He wants to keep it a one-run game. What I'll say is if Clase comes in and goes 1, 2, 3, and the Guardians hit, and Owen Miller still hits that 2-run homer, that's a walk-off. And you know what we're talking about right now?
Yeah.
Unconventional, but crazy like a fox.
But if you don't trust Sandlin and some of these other guys who have pitched well out of the pen generally to be able to hold the Reds to 0 in the 9th, then where are you going anyway?
I know. And to your Sandlin point, if you're close and late and you're a reliever and you walk 2 guys on 9 pitches, you don't get the third batter.
You're right.
So I was furious that he had 2 walks in a row. But when they left him in with the bases loaded, I said, well, what do you think he's going to do now?
Yeah.
And so, again, we have the benefit of the results, but in real time, you and I were texting back and forth, and we were going crazy.
I know, so
Why is he in the game now? So that was the bigger problem that I had.
And Ramirez, I thought he was going to hit a home run.
We have breaking news on Ohio State.
We
Mikey,
do have
we
breaking news from Ohio State. Just into the inbox. Just in. Contract extension for Ryan Day. He will now be paid $9.5 million annually, up from $7.6. The contract runs through the 2028 football season. On top of that, Chris Holtman, who was on the show Monday, also has gotten a 3-year contract extension to the 2027-2028 season. He receives a salary increase of $500,000, so he goes from $1 million per year to total compensation of $3.5 million. With a base salary of $1 million. So major contract extensions for the Buckeyes.
Guys, I'm
dishing
out
that money.
I mean, I don't know how Ryan Day's family was going to survive on $7.5 million a year. I'm so glad he got the $9.5.
Well, I would have done it, and I think he's worth every penny of it.
I'm kidding.
I mean, does anybody think otherwise?
No, he deserves
Buckeye?
it.
I'm about to say
Ryan Day is probably one of the best coaches in college football. And by the way, he got that money because he can recruit his tail off.
And he's got a good-looking beard.
Ryan Day deserves that money for many other reasons outside of even just being a football coach. That man really genuinely cares about his players. He truly puts them in positions. Urban Meyer started Real Life Wednesdays. It was a thing that they brought to the program. So if you don't make it to the NFL, he's going to bring a job fair. He's going to prepare you to go do interviews and stuff like that. Ryan Day continues to keep that going on so kids will have success post-football career.
He doesn't talk it, he lives it.
He lives it. Then on top of that, he's dealing with, you had the one kid had the suicide thoughts, he had to retire. He's there for him. He's like a father figure to him. There's so much that goes on at Ohio State off the field, and he's the first person that they call because they trust him. They believe that he's going to get things done for them.
I love to hear that.
He's genuine. Like I said, I've never played for Ryan Day, not a snap, but every time I go to the Woody and talk to him, he treats me like I'm one of his players. We sit there, talk, laugh. He's a really good guy.
I love to hear that because we've talked on this program already and will continue to in the future how the system, yesterday Maurice Clarett was in your chair for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And the general takeaway is the system uses all of the moving parts. We talked about how it used the Tressel as the head coach.
Right.
So it's not just players. You know, when your usefulness is done, you're gone, and they don't think about you anymore. So I love that our university that we cheer for has a guy in position that isn't just talking that talk, but he's walking it too.
Yep, absolutely.
It felt like from an outside perspective that Urban Meyer didn't care about his players.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie.
Okay, straighten us out.
Urban definitely. That's one thing I'm gonna tell the world.
It is a misconception.
One thing I will say. I will say this. Urban 100% puts you in position to succeed, whether it's football or post-athletic, because he definitely made us come up with 5-year plans, 10-year plans. I still got mine on my phone. He made us do job fairs.
Really?
Yes, made us put suits on, even buy you the suit. Get you the suit, shirt, and tie. You got to come up.
Hold on. That never happened.
The university. The university.
You get that back. You got to get that back, bro.
University. Let me take that back. Anyway, get you the suit and tie. Make sure that make sure you go into class. There was a kid on our team by the name of We called him JC guy, but his name was Corey Smith. Came from a bad environment. We called him JC guy because he came from a junior college.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, when you go to a junior college.
JC guy.
Right. So, obviously, it's bad things that come with junior college players. So, but he got under Irving, and Irving really worked with this kid because he had a lot going on, like just bad area, a lot of stuff that he shouldn't have been doing. He was into it. He did everything he could to get him straightened out. You know what happened? The kid ended up graduating from college. Now, he didn't have a career in the NFL, but he's a national champion, and he got a degree from The Ohio State University. And I don't think that would happen if he
If you were to, and I'm not going to ask you to do this, but if you were to text Urban right now, would he get back to you?
You know what? That's funny. That's funny that you bring that up. Yeah, he would.
See, that's how I asked this question of a lot of big-time athletes.
I'm different
because I've been able to weed out the contenders from the pretenders. You're a player.
Yeah, I thought he wouldn't. But if I texted him, he called. As a matter of fact, he randomly called me like a couple months ago.
You on TV now, so you control his destiny. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna listen.
That might be slightly true.
No, listen,
slightly true.
The whole Zach Smith, the coach?
Yeah, Zach Smith.
That whole thing was like, Urban came off bad in that whole thing.
He did. But I think Urban fell victim for trying to protect everybody. He wanted to, Zach was his guy, and he didn't want to put him out there in a bad light. He wanted to, if anything, he said, just put it on me. I'll tell you. It's kind of what Jim Tressel did with Terrell Pryor.
Yeah. So it's interesting you said that because I talked to a player who was out of the program at that time, but not long removed from it. Yeah. And he said, here's Urban's fault. He is so loyal to the people that are in his circle that he's willing to take a hit.
He will.
Knowing he knew he was going to get killed in the media for what he did. He didn't for a second think that was going to be well received.
That's what he's supposed to do.
But it's true.
I want my coach to be loyal.
It's different. A lot of people, when it's time to stand up and take that hit, people are dodge that.
You know how many coaches have said, "Oh no, throwing you to the wolves." I don't know. I didn't know any about that, but now that I know, he's gone.
That's the reason. That big price tag. That's the reason you go from 7.5 to 10 almost. Because you there to take the hit. At the end of the day, these people, I remember my college coach saying, look, we used to have, I was like, I got this class I got to go to. And he's like, well, go to it. I'm like, well, I'm a freshman. I'm getting redshirted. He's like, bro, you redshirted. I'm like, what do you mean just go to it? That means I won't be at practice. He's like, listen, if you don't graduate or if you don't play well or if you don't go to class, my family depends on you. They said, who recruited that guy?
Yeah, sure.
The ineligible guy. Who recruited him? Or the guy who can't get to... When he told me that, I thought about it differently. When you get to that level, it's a business. Like, and even if you're just a college player and it's on that level, you start knowing it's a business when they start having people follow you around and be like, I'm going to make sure you're going to be at class today.
That's a fact. They do that.
True.
What do you think about the whole... I know we'll get a little off topic. We'll get back to Ohio State, but I'm just curious your take on what happened with Urban in Jacksonville. Like the whole, were you surprised that it didn't work out?
I wasn't surprised. Some of those stories that came out, I was like, he 100% did that. That was just the type of
He got away with it in college.
Yeah, but in college, it was a joke. He talk about the specialists all the time.
I think he meant it as a joke in Jacksonville too.
But
it wasn't perceived as a joke.
These is grown men with families.
Grown-ass men, and if you can't joke with someone who's...
So I when he went to Jacksonville, I said some of the methods that he did in college is not going to translate. They're not going to go for that.
Different.
And I think it's one of those things that it's a great plan. He got a great plan on winning. If you follow that plan, it's been proven to work. He has teams where it's obviously he's won the championship with them. The hardest part is getting behind that plan because all your life, especially in the NFL, if I'm an all-pro or if I'm a Pro Bowl player, what I do works. I know what I need to do. So you're not about to come in here and change my routine.
No, that's a great point.
That's where the back and forth and push and pull comes, and that's why I said I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, his ego was big, rightfully so. He'd done it all on the college level, and he'd done it at two major programs. The one thing I'll say on Urban before we move on, because there's another big Ohio State football topic I want to get to, but the thing on Urban that I think is unfair is people say, well, just go look at his players at Florida and look at his players at Ohio State and look at the guys that got in trouble. He had over 2,000 kids between Florida and Ohio State.
Yeah.
You can go to any major program in the United States of America, and you're going to have those kids. Notre Dame has those kids.
Yeah.
Kids get in trouble. A certain percentage of them are going to do things that are not tolerable.
Yeah.
But I've talked to enough guys that have come through Urban's program that speak as to him as a second father.
Yeah.
And most of them say one thing. I wouldn't be where I am today without
That's
Urban
a fact.
Meyer. And that's what they're supposed to do.
When he presented to you, because I've been on both sides. I've been in the doghouse and then I've been on Urban's good side. And obviously, me as a freshman, he's one of those, if you're not doing nothing for me, I don't really want to talk to you type thing. You're red shirt. Like, what are we even talking to? What are we talking about? So being on that side, it was hard for me to comprehend. It's like, dude, like I'm trying to get my education. I'm trying to do everything right. But it's like when you get to the league, it's just like that. If you're not doing nothing in the league, we cutting you. Like, yeah. So he basically giving it to you really early. And if you can handle it, when you get to the next level, not in just the league, in life, if you're not doing something.
I'm guessing that motivated you to become better.
It does.
Because you wanted.
Because you see how he treats all the other players like, that's his guy, man. I want to be like that. So it motivates you to get better, and you do put in the extra work.
And that's their job.
Yeah. Will he ever coach again?
No.
I don't think he will either. If he does, it'll be in college. He'll never coach in the NFL.
No chance.
You know what he's going to do? He's going to figure out what he figured out once in life, but then changed his mind. There's no easier way to make a living than being a highly paid analyst on TV in something that his homework is done. It's his life's work. Tom Brady's going to figure that out when he goes to Fox and makes more money than he's making now in the NFL. Like, he's not going to get blindsided. And Urban told me when he was working at ESPN, we were talking about how he liked it. He goes, I'll tell you this, I'm undefeated.
Right.
And
no
when your job's done, it's done.
Yeah.
You're not answering phones at 3 a.m. saying, wait, you did what?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's stressful.
We want to talk about divisions in the Big Ten because this has been a hot topic, particularly for fans of Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan.
Yes.
Since they've had these divisions, the East and the West. All the power is in the East.
Yes.
And they've got to play each other, and only one of them can survive. Meantime, you got the bums in the West, usually Wisconsin, skating to a West Division title and getting that auto bid in the Big Ten championship game. In 2023, that guy's is likely to go bye-bye. So with all the changes that are coming in college football, and these are kind of secondary, but the NCAA is about to make major changes. But this realignment vote is expected to pass. And then what the Big Ten championship game would be the top 2 teams overall.
Yeah.
Like it or hate it.
Love it. I think it's the best decision they could have made. They should have been done it. I mean, granted, the way things were last year, you probably would have had Ohio State versus the team up north back-to-back weeks. But that's good football. That's what you want. You want the best teams in your division representing the championship game. It is really no point of the Big Ten West, period. Like you said, you got Wisconsin and Iowa, and Northwestern has been somebody. But I think if there wasn't no segregations in them, it would literally be a combination of Ohio State, team up north, Ohio State, Penn State, and Ohio State, and Michigan State. I think those are
right.
That's it.
And
every year.
But I think you made the point. I agree with you. I'm glad they're changing it. I think the only reason they had divisions in the first place is because they didn't want Ohio State and Michigan playing twice because the game's so important.
Yeah.
But, like, I think most fans now, you're a player. You said you don't care if you play twice.
No.
As a fan, again, I didn't
Fans
grow up with
want
it.
that
I
second
want to
game.
see them play twice. I got no problem with that.
Imagine this year if the Big Ten
I'm about to
championship
say,
game was a redo.
No.
Who's not going to watch that?
Oh, and it's indoors at the Colts Stadium. No weather elements. Oh, yeah.
Man.
Actually,
neutral field.
They've been doing themselves a disservice for about 10 years because, you know, there's teams that could have been on the bubble. Penn State was a one-loss team a few years. Michigan State one-loss teams. So if you go in to play Northwestern and they're ranked 20th something, or you playing Iowa and they're ranked 15th, you need those points. You need to get that ranked win. So why not play Michigan back-to-back weeks and you play them and they'll be if you beat them 1 versus 2, then they fall to what, 5?
You know what, Gino? I'm surprised it's expected to pass. Like if you're Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State, you're like hell yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you're all the other teams, what is in it for you?
Nothing. They'll say bye-bye if you don't like it. This is
Yeah,
what
but you're not going to kick all 11
I guess the
teams.
bad schools, it doesn't matter either. Like for Rutgers,
well, Rutgers and
it doesn't
Maryland,
matter either way.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Like if you're a team in the West,
yeah,
even Wisconsin,
right?
Now they're looking at it and saying, Well, our path to the Big Ten championship game just got real rocky.
Yeah.
Before, they were like, I like our chances. We got to beat Iowa this year.
But the thing is, if you do make it to the game and you win out, your strength of schedule looks better. Your chances of making the CFP is like tremendous.
Off the charts.
It's like somebody it's like Mississippi State and Vanderbilt has a say in what Florida and these dudes and LSU.
There's more of them than there are of the powers.
But here's the thing. I already feel like it's going a whole other different way. The NCAA is about to be out of here.
Yep.
They're going to say,
that's why I said it's a different conversation.
Give me Ohio State, give me Michigan and Penn State, Notre Dame, and they go down there and mingle with SEC teams. The rest of these teams might as well just get ready for it. You put the MAC teams in, Conference USA,
they should have their own playoffs.
And y'all go do your thing. But it's going to be 50, it may be 25 to 50 teams that's legitimate top Power 5 schools.
Kind of like the NFL.
Yes.
I mean, you got 32 teams.
Right.
And,
10 of them
don't have a chance.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah.
22 of them, you could make a case for them doing something.
And
if they are going to keep the Big Ten as a conference and not go to the Super, I think they're headed that way too. But I would like to even see them cut down the regular season schedule and have instead of just a championship with the 2 best Big Ten teams, have a 14 playoff in the Big Ten in those final couple of weeks before you get to the regular playoff. Wouldn't that be more?
Well, yeah, but
exciting?
Now you're adding a lot to the schedule.
Well, he said he cut down 12 games.
You would, but I mean,
and then you get 2. The team that wins would with 2 high quality wins at the end.
So
of the year.
saying go instead of 12 games, make it 10, and then the last
exactly.
Well, that was we did it in a practice show. We haven't done it on a real show yet. But
you got to drop that.
And I am going to drop it as we get closer to college football season.
Yeah.
But Ty, my plan is to have a 12-team college football playoff.
Okay.
And here's in a nutshell how it works. The Power Fives all get the auto bid for the conference championship.
Okay.
There are 7 at-larges that come from the other college football programs.
Okay.
The top 4 seeds get first-round byes. And the 1 seed would play the lowest remaining seed from 5 through 12.
I tell you what.
I'll do that tomorrow.
And 5 through 8 would get a home game.
5 through 8, first
round.
round is home. The 4 teams that got byes would host the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And then like we have now, the semifinals would be at predetermined sites. Championship game also at a predetermined site.
I think that'll be okay. I can see that working out. I think it would.
Right now we get 3 playoff games. This system would give us 9.
It would create some excitement because what if one of those low-ranked teams actually does
win?
Just happen to have the right recipe to knock one of them. And people are really tuned into that.
Absolutely.
So it would be interesting.
It'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
It would. And it would generate triple the revenue.
It gives people a chance. It gives those low-ranked teams a chance to go against these big dogs and be like, let's see if you are good enough.
And as you mentioned briefly when we talked about this, the college football, the best teams disappear for like a month.
Yeah.
Or more. You lose the momentum.
Talk about that, Ty. When you won the national championship game, after the Big Ten championship game, you guys went into mothballs for almost 4 weeks.
But you know, that's not bad, though.
No, you get that
because you need your body to recover. Going
but
to
if you
12
played less
games,
regular season games,
you still gonna need some recovery time. Like that.
Well, but how about 2 or 3 weeks instead of like 6 weeks?
Oh, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. Depending on the injury.
What are you guys doing during that time period? Are you just chilling or you got practice?
So when you go bowl games, so you got the bowl games. So when we played Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, we had like a month or something.
Yeah, it was a long time.
So
finals.
You get finals. So you come in. It's 3 phases. Coach Meyer breaks it up into 3 phases. The first phase is a fun phase. We was in there playing like speed ball. It was like people putting on different jerseys. Right. It was just fun. Like we wasn't really focused on Alabama. 2, you speed it up a little bit. You start introducing people to what Alabama's going to do. Okay. You know, you start putting out, that's the formation. We're going to game plan this, blah, blah, blah. You go home for a break, Christmas break. When you come back, now you're in phase 3. Now it's game time. Now we reveling everything up. Now it's like a regular game week.
Yeah, fascinating.
You don't want to be.
Let's stay on Ohio State football because I know you're hot on this.
Man.
So there's a kid that if you're not aware of him yet, you will be soon. He's an 8th grader, guys, from Georgia. Now let me read his stats. He's 6'3". He's 190 pounds. His name is Tyler Atkinson. Look at his training methods.
This kid's an 8th grader?
He is in the 8th grade.
What?
He has received full scholarship offers from Ole Miss, LSU, Ohio State, and others. Ty, is this ridiculous or is this genius?
It's ridiculous. Like, it really is. Because it's a bunch of guys that I had in the 8th grade that I looked at and was like, oh, yeah, they definitely D1. But it doesn't pan out. The problem is a lot of these times, some people have athletic advantages. You know, their bodies develop sooner. Maybe their parents was a former player and they done gave them some recipes. The difference is when you get older and you go through high school and you get to go against other people catch up.
They all
catch up. If you're not working on your game, they're going to catch you in skill. So it doesn't make sense to offer a kid in the 8th grade because you don't know. He might not be a thing when he becomes a senior, but he's going to say, you know what? I'm verbally committing to Ohio State, and I got to go now.
I went to his Twitter page, and it's ridiculous, his Twitter page.
Look at him. He doesn't look like an 8th grader.
He doesn't. He's big.
He looks like he's in high school.
He's big for sure.
But to your point, I think you know what bothers me about it? Not even the fact that, obviously you're right, that people catch up and maybe it's too easy for him so he doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
I think it's creepy that, recruiters are looking at kids in the 8th grade.
That's where we are, though.
I'm about to say recruting is a whole different game.
Yeah, there's a lot of creepy things that go on in recruiting.
I don't like that.
This right here remind me, it's like my nephew. He'll see something like this and say, you know what?
I got to get the video.
G-Bush is deep in his phone right now. What's going on?
I had to look at the guy. Ohio State got so many people that transfer. I said,
whoa.
Well, you come out of nowhere with that. This is. I can't even remember his name because he didn't play. You got to think about it like this. Tate Martell was recruited when he was 7, 8 years old.
It's ridiculous.
This man went from Ohio State, then he transferred to Miami.
Yeah.
Then after he couldn't play there, then he went to UNLV. Couldn't play there, and now he's just retired.
I think he's making a comeback.
He's coming.
Well, if he is, it's recent because I just saw like a month ago where he said, "I'm out."
He did again.
Yes.
So here's the thing. This dude was getting recruited by everybody. He couldn't get on the field nowhere. That's what happens when they be like, "Yo, you the greatest thing moving."
Yeah, you pumping their head up too early. They thinking they that good. They don't think they have to work no more. It's like I got the offer.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to approach it, whether or not he's going to work hard or not. You can't really tell a lot about a kid looking at his Twitter page. It's a lot of I'm blessed to thank goodness for the full offer I got from Ole Miss. He's definitely out there on social. He's putting out there what's happening in his life. But you're right. Will he be motivated as a 9th grader, as a 10th grader, when everybody else is starting to catch up and become men?
They putting a bullseye on him.
Yeah, definitely.
I tell you what, my high school coach, that kid right there going to Ohio State. You go out there and you bust him, you going to Ohio State.
No, that's true. Yeah, he does have the bullseye now.
Well, it looks like he's going to get some NIL money. He'll get it.
Yeah, I don't know if Georgia's one of the 9 states that have already approved it, but he's going to get paid.
He's going to get paid.
He's going to get paid. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got some Cavs talk because last night was the draft lottery. As expected, the Cavs landed in that 14 slot. I think they had like a 97% chance of landing there. Who might they be looking at? We're going to talk to a Cavs insider who was in Chicago for the draft lottery last night. He's going to join us on the other side of the break. Stay with us. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is coming right back. Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I am a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. I have carried my fandom every city I've ever lived in. People have always asked me, why are you so diehard about Cleveland? It's because I'm from here. And we know how much our teams mean to us. Most of us know that because of our parents. In my case, my father was just a huge Cleveland sports fan. It was really part of our life. It was woven into everything we did. And it was our connection throughout his life.
When you watch Front Row, you never have to ask what's going on in Cleveland.
It is our job to get you up to speed on the latest news and events so you can enjoy all our city has to offer. We are bright, bold, and all about the action.
Whether you're a diehard Browns fan, waiting on breaking news, or searching for a special event for a weekend away,
our hometown has it all. So join us. We're waiting for you. Front Row, weeknights at 7.
Seeing, knowing, and understanding Northeast Ohio is something we take very seriously.
Because in our connected world, what happens in one community can have an impact on others,
leading to difficult challenges and opportunities for reflection and growth.
So, for in-depth analysis of how today's top stories affect you, your family, and our communities across Northeast Ohio,
join us for 3 News at 6.
So you know what matters most.
Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I'm a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. My favorite all-time Cleveland sports moment, you're not going to believe this, it was Rajay Davis's home run in Game 7 that tied the score.
My favorite Cleveland sports moment would have to be the Kyrie Irving 2016 shot. It's the only time that I've ever cried over any sporting event.
And my ultimate Cleveland memory is when the Cavs won the championship and the day of the parade. It was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life.
All right, we're back on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we're going to turn the page to the Cleveland Cavaliers now because last night in the draft lottery, they've landed where we thought they would, 14th pick. Nothing to get excited about because, yes.
Trade the pick.
There are guys. Yeah, I know you want to trade it. There are guys.
Bradley Beal. You gave me a Bradley Beal trade today.
There are values that have been found 14 and later in the draft, and the Cavs have done pretty good in the draft recently, but we're going to bring in Evan Dremel right now. He covers the Cavaliers for Locked On Cavs, and does a great job too, by the way. He's really plugged in on the Cavs. If you're a Cavs fan, you definitely should pay attention to what this guy does on Locked On. Evan, great to be with you. So 14 doesn't excite anybody, but you got to make the pick unless you're going to trade it. I know you've been looking at possible mocks and players they might be interested in. Give us a couple of names that we can start thinking about who the Cavs might have on their early radar.
So it's two schools of thought, really, when it comes to the Cavs and drafting. Do you want to draft a guy who can make an immediate impact, or is this a guy you want to stash the back end of your rotation, maybe keep him on your bench, let him develop, let him marinate, let him grow? So it's those two schools of thought. So you could look at Ohio State. You have E.J. Liddell, who could be more of an immediate impact player. You have Malachi Branham, who could be more one of those upside players as well, because he has the potential to be a plus shooter long term too. And then you could say the same thing about Dyson Daniels too, if you want to look at the development aspect, or maybe even LSU's Terry Eason. There's a lot of options for Cleveland at 14. I heard you guys talking about trading the pick as well. I think that's definitely something the Cavs should consider too, because let's be frank, they were a win away from making the playoffs. They unfortunately lost to Brooklyn and Atlanta, and they got a consolation prize, so they could maybe grab one of these high upside kids and trade them into maybe a bigger star, somebody who can just complement this roster and round things out for them so that they can just make that push into being a playoff team instead of having to kind of do the song and dance in the play-in tournament.
Evan, that's what they got to do. I mean, let's be honest. Are we trying to win a championship, or are we just trying to be the Indiana Pacers for the next 10 years and hang around the 8th spot? The Cavs have to be aggressive. Dan Gilbert, I've criticized him at times because he meddles too much, but he's done a better job of not doing that recently. But now he's always been aggressive. And the Cavs have 3 awesome players. 3 guys who are all-stars or borderline all-stars who are going to get better, especially Mobley and Garland, especially Mobley, because once his offensive game develops, forget it. They need to use this pick and Colin Sexton and whoever to get a 4th excellent player, all-star player. Now, maybe that's not possible. You tell us what you think, Evan. But that's what they, in my opinion, they should do. A veteran, not too old, but a veteran player who's an all-star or borderline all-star player. We were talking Bradley Beal before. Yep. We were talking DeJounte Murray, who I love. Let's go get one. I mean, again, maybe it's not possible. Maybe I'm crazy to think they could get him without trading one of the big 3, because I'm not trading one of the big 3 for anything. But if I can get one of those 2 guys or somebody of that ilk, by trading Sexton and draft picks. I don't care if they give him 32 draft picks. Let's go. I want to win.
Well, I don't think 32 draft picks would be realistic, obviously. But
Bull likes to exaggerate.
I think you are in the right. I think you're in the right school of thought. You do have it's weird to say big 3, but 3 untouchable players in Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. How do you build around those 3? And I think the task is on the Cavs to figure that out, because let's be frank, no one expected a lot from this Cavs team heading into this season, and they really caught everybody by surprise, but they're going to surprise no one next year. So they have to really be prepared and not be too afraid of how big the moment is. But I think Brad Beal might be a little bit just unrealistic as a target for Cleveland, just because it's been well reported he wants to sign a Supermax extension with Washington, which would pay him about 35% of their salary cap off the top of my head, which is a tough pill to swallow. And I think if you're the Cavs, maybe you shy away from that if you're just not able to financially accommodate a guy who may not want to be there long term. But DeJounte Murray does make a lot of sense. I think
Guy.
Him being close to Darius Garland helps a lot too. Them both having the same agency.
Yeah, but
helps
Evan,
a lot
what do
as
they
well,
have to
but
give up to get him?
It'd have to be 14. It'd have to be a combination of 14, Sexton, probably a Coro as well, and then maybe a future first, and then maybe another future first on top of that. It depends on how San Antonio values him, because DeJounte Murray is an all-star caliber guard, and he's kind of the best player on the Spurs right now, but they are in a weird spot where they're kind of good, but they're kind of bad, but maybe they should lean towards being bad because they have so many just young players that they need to develop, but they're in flux, and I think Murray makes a lot of sense for this Cavs team just in terms of pairing him with Garland as just a backcourt partner long term. But again, like I said at the top, if you're Cleveland, you have to consider all options, because also bringing in a rookie is cheap, cost-controlled talent too that you can kind of keep on the payroll long term and not worry about straining yourself financially now and then possibly 2-3 years from now as well, because Garland has to get paid, Mobley has to get paid. So many players are going to have to get paid in the next few years, and you only have so much money to go around.
Yeah, Love money coming out, and if you traded Sexton, his money would come out. I don't know. I think you play to win. The draft picks a crapshoot.
I don't disagree with playing to win. It's just, I think because the expectations were so low going into this season, and now that there's maybe a little bit of an onus on this Cavs team to kind of build something out of this, you have to consider all your options and weigh everything. And I think the Cavs are historically an aggressive team in terms of trades and just making acquisitions. Koby Altman, I believe, leads the league in trades leading up to the NBA trade deadline. But I think you maybe make a cautious and a methodical approach, and you see how this draft pans out too, because I'm in Chicago at the combines today. They're doing measurements and everything else. I think there's going to be teams who fall in love with players during the interview process, the pre-workout process, and there's going to be a guy who falls. And if it's a guy who the Cavs just cannot pass up on, I don't see why you wouldn't consider taking him, and then possibly even using him as a trade chip long term as well too, because guys can get frustrated about their situation as well. Things can change a lot between now and later this summer. So there's a lot of different things in flux here, and it's a fluid situation overall. So it's an interesting time for the Cavs, and I think, like I said, just building around that big three is just your big goal this offseason, and then you move forward from there.
Evan, who is your top three prospects in this draft? And the reason that I ask is it possible that the Cavs can put a trade package together to trade up in this draft and get that person?
I don't think, if you want to say Chet Holmgren, Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith, even Shaedon Sharpe from Kentucky, even though he didn't play for them this year, I don't think those guys are obtainable, because if you're looking at teams like Oklahoma City, Houston, Sacramento, who made a surprising jump as well, and Orlando, there's a reason why they're picking at the top of the draft. They need to get this top-end talent. And I think if you're Cleveland offering anyone outside of Mobley, Garland, and Allen, it's not going to entice a lot of teams to jump. But if you stick at 14 or in that range, I think Dyson Daniels from the G League Ignite makes a lot of sense, because he's a 6'8" guard. He actually grew 2 inches since the G League season ended, which is pretty crazy to think about. Malachi Branham, like I mentioned, EJ Liddell makes a lot of sense too. Terry Eason. There's a lot of guys here, but I just don't think the Cavs really have the ammo and assets to go up and get one of those top players, because you don't really want to hamstring yourself asset-wise if you want to go all in and maybe make another big trade to acquire a player that is more all-star caliber and maybe doesn't need more time to season.
You know, there's a name that I've been following for a while. Imani Bates played at Memphis. Is he in this draft? And if so, he's 2-3 times player of the year. I think he won the player of the year as a sophomore. Was going to go to Michigan State, decommitted, went to Memphis, did not work out well in his first year. Is he gonna be in this draft? And if so, where do you think he goes?
No, he's not draft eligible this year just because of age and high school rules. He'll be draft eligible next year, and I think just because of his potential, despite him not panning out at Memphis, I think he's in the transfer portal right now. So looking at his options there, he's going to be more of a top talent in next year's draft.
Evan, before we let you go, I know this is ridiculous, because when you're talking about the 14th pick, you have no idea what's going to happen in the first 13. But we do these ridiculous exercises because we fill 2 hours every day. So we're going to ask you to play along. If you were to do a mock right now and no trades happen, who is left at 14 in your mock draft, and who would you select? Have you gone that far with this yet?
I haven't gone that far yet because you want to hear maybe who teams are talking to player-wise. Interviews open up tomorrow with a lot of these prospects, so that's going to be the top question is, okay, which teams have you chatted with? But in all honesty, I think it's a name I haven't mentioned, but I know a lot of teams like him. But if Jeremy Sochan from Baylor falls to Cleveland, I think that's a player they could strongly consider. But I think Malachi Branham is a guy that folks should keep an eye on. He's a local prospect, played for St. Mary. He played at Ohio State, so it just makes a lot of sense here. And I think he can play meaningful minutes right away, but his potential 2-3 years from now makes him even more enticing for Cleveland because he's a long-term piece and also opens up a lot of options too, because you could trade Sexton, you could trade Karis LeVert, you could trade future picks to maybe go make a bigger win-now move, all while you have a guy waiting in the wings who could be a huge scoring punch for you long-term as well.
I think we'd all like that. I mean, would any of you guys have problems with that?
If they stay at 14, sure.
I mean, if they stay there,
I got no problem.
I just don't think he's going to. I just don't think he's going to be there. I think he's more like an 8-9 pick. I think it's
because the upside's high.
Yeah, I think he's going to go to that combine and really. Because watching him over the course of his season this year, he's took a major leap. I mean, he had a multiple 30-point games.
He's got a high upside,
so
for sure.
I don't think he'll be there.
I know it's hard to say, and who knows? They might move, and they might not even be at 14. Evan, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Evan Dremel of Locked On Cavs does a great job covering the Cleveland Cavaliers. Follow his podcast if you're a big Cavs fan, and you'll get the latest information each and every day. Evan, thanks. Good to have you on.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, so.
All right, guys, time to do good bet, bad bet. We didn't do it yesterday because we just kind of lost track of time.
Does it count for the standings?
Do we have a scoreboard?
Where
are we? Okay, where
if
are we
we
right
don't
now?
do it, the games don't count. That's the big issue. So
wait, how did I go down to 7-7?
Hey, man, I ain't supposed to
you
be
went 1 and 2
either.
yesterday, or 2 days ago. 2 days ago, excuse me.
Yeah, we didn't check it yesterday.
We didn't
that's
check
right.
it yesterday,
and
but
I never
it
checked to
count.
see how I did.
Yeah.
Okay, I always wait until the show. I'm breaking even. Look at you, 67.
I mean, he's only picked 3 games.
That's not the point. Don't do that.
Yeah, but listen,
Why you got to be the one to point that out, though?
Yeah, but Brad Sellers comes in here 2-0 and 100%.
Yeah.
I go, bro, you don't have enough at bats to qualify.
That's right.
Mike Polk is 5-0 for the record.
Wow.
Polk is 5-0. Okay, 5 is enough at bats to qualify.
Now double digits. You got to be a double.
All right. What do we have today, Mikey? Who's our good bet, bad bet?
First one, Guardians 1.5 run favorites over the Reds. It's Quantrill versus Tyler Mahle.
I took good.
We're good betting.
Yeah, and I think partly because it's the Reds and partly because
they lost.
They lost last night in such a horrible fashion.
Exactly.
I do like Tyler Mahle. I think he's a pretty good pitcher for Cincinnati. They don't have a lot of good players.
Yeah,
but,
what'd you say yesterday about the Reds pitcher?
I said he's a fraud.
Yeah,
and he pitched
was
well.
he a fraud?
I give him credit.
Really well.
Hey,
I'm about to say really well.
He's still a fraud.
7-8 Indies.
He's listening to the show.
He's better. He's better. I got to school him up and let him know he's a fraud.
All right. Go ahead.
When the season plays out, you'll see he's a fraud. But he did pitch well yesterday.
Yeah, and he's pitched well all season. What do you got?
He's got more wins than Bo's Little League team right now, though. So that's
true.
tough.
If you have one
I'm on
win,
the hot seat, dude.
Yeah,
I got a game tonight.
Bo's
I'm
team
on the
is
hot
0-3, and if he doesn't win, I'm starting to hear whispers.
We're the only winless team in the minor league division.
Y'all going to the playoffs?
He already doing 2 a days. He's doing doing 2 a days, 3 games.
I love
into
the fact that he's checking the standings.
I checked the standings last night. We're 0-3. Got a big game tonight. We got to get off the schneid.
What's the team? What's the
team we're playing is 1-2.
Okay.
It's my buddy who's the coach. It's my buddy who's the coach.
Winnable game.
Do we have a line on this?
I'm going to set the line right now. Bo, what's the name of your team again?
Rustic.
Rustic 2-run underdogs against Team X.
I'm taking
that. Yeah.
First of all, we've lost by 2 of the 3 games.
See?
It's a great line.
And last game, I was without 2 of my 4 best players. Were both sick. They didn't play.
And you said last game you found a pitcher.
We found a pitcher. Kid out of the bullpen. This kid is awesome. He's the most happy-go-lucky kid. He looks like he should be he looks like one of the characters from the Bad News Bears. He looks like a kid from the 70s.
Does that make you Walter Matthau?
I guess so. Buttermaker. I got to get hammered, pass out on the... I got to find a 12-year-old girl to pitch for us.
All right, what's the second real game in our good bet, bad bet?
Second real game tonight, NBA Playoffs, Western Conference Finals tip-off. The Mavs +5 on the road at Golden State.
What do you guys think?
Bad.
That's bad.
I'm not taking
Not bad, too.
Yeah.
Wait, we're all the same then.
Look at that. Oh, man.
Are
And
you
guess
kidding
what?
me? And we do not look at our
Y'all
picks.
looked at my percentages and y'all trying to be
No,
like
we don't
me.
know your picks.
I'm hoping the Mavs could win this series. I can't stand the Warriors. I'm sick of the Warriors. I want the Mavs to win. But we saw it kind of with Boston last night, right? These teams that pull out these 7th games, it's always hard to win that first game.
Game 1 is a nightmare
especially
for
on the road.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yep, it is. It's a big ask. All right, our third game in Good Bet, Bad Bet.
You guys must have cheated again because wait till you see this. But over 3.5 3-pointers for Steph Curry tonight.
Y'all hilarious.
I mean, who's going to bet against that?
Wait, we're all. I know, but we're all. This stinks because there's no separation.
I know.
Somebody, y'all, you know what? You know what I'll do? I'll switch my Mavs. I'm taking the Mavs. Just so I can be different.
Okay.
Just so I
Put
can be
it
different.
officially.
Put him in.
So one for Davis.
How are you going to bet against Steph Curry?
Yeah, I'm not.
Getting 4 3-pointers.
I know. He can do that in a quarter if he decides to.
Bang!
All right, Good Bet, Bad Bet.
We
brought
got
to you
one last
by
thing
no
real quick.
one.
This is a little tiebreaker.
We're looking for a sponsor for Good Bet, Bad Bet.
Steve, take 71 real quick. I don't know if you guys saw this tweet yesterday, but the Guardians tweeted that if they get 10,000 retweets by 5:30 today.
They were way behind, though.
Oh, I know that, and this is not about them. This is about us. So we quote tweeted this tweet and said if we get to 5,000 YouTube subscribers and 7,500 Twitter followers, we'll dump a can of chili on Anthony's head on air on Friday.
Wow. Is he okay with that?
Yes, he actually volunteered.
Anthony getting rolled on it.
Where are we at?
Close. So we need everybody out there.
What are the numbers?
Subscribe. Live count on YouTube, we're at like 4,900 something. So right there.
So we're within
and on
100.
Twitter, we need about 400 followers. So not crazy far off.
We got to all push it.
Spread the word. Yeah, spread the word. We
So-
will dump chili on Anthony's head live.
Why don't we up the game and just say that Bull will take a bowl of chili?
Oh, I'm not taking a bowl of chili. No chance. No chance. See, I learned a long time ago from some other idiots in this business.
Yeah, not to do that.
Never say you're going to do anything on the air that you would never want to do.
See, listen,
That's a bowl of chili.
It's part of the weight loss challenge. That's not good for
Wait, how was the weight loss challenge going through 24 hours?
It's been, so far. For me, I haven't had anything to eat today.
Nothing?
Me
I've
either.
had nothing to eat since 6:45 last night. Nothing.
I think I'm about right where he at, actually.
I had a Red Bull. I had a Red Bull in a Slim Jim. It worked out for me.
You guys are already looking slimmer.
I went home yesterday. I had two grilled chicken thighs.
Okay.
Very good.
And some broccoli and carrots.
Okay.
All right.
And then for a snack, I had some cherries.
Okay.
Which cost a fortune right now, but I love cherries. And then I had 18 small pretzel sticks.
He done counted them, right?
18.
He
I
made-
didn't
listen,
count them. 18
7.
pretzel sticks.
The first day, the hardest.
6 and a half.
And then for dinner, my wife made ground turkey with a little whole wheat pasta.
Okay.
Well, see, that's great.
And that's all I ate.
I'm pulling
And drank
for you
water
guys.
all day.
I am so pulling. You
That
both
is-
want to lose in the neighborhood of 90 to 100 pounds.
It's going to take a long time to lose that weight, but
That's what y'all go.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
I want to live.
Ty, they have weigh-ins every week. Our workout
I had
facility
Subway.
is right
I had
here.
Subway, by
I
the way.
should jump on that scale. I was 215.
Dude, what are you talking about? You don't,
you don't need
weight.
to lose any
Yeah, I
weight.
do.
Lose 5 pounds?
Yes.
Okay, well.
Summertime's coming.
Bulls targets 100. Ty's going for 4.
The summertime's coming. I want to impress the wife.
He wants to turn his 4-pack into a 6-pack.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Got
Yeah,
to.
sucks to be you. I really wanted to say this yesterday.
Yeah.
It got lost in the shuffle, but
Yeah.
I'm super proud of you guys that you're doing this publicly. The hardest thing to do is to be accountable to a public weigh-in every
Thank
week.
you. Yeah.
That puts pressure on you guys.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I believe you can both get to your weight. I hope you can.
I hope
I
so,
hate
too.
to see you starve yourself, though.
No, I gotta
I
win.
mean, like,
No, it's the intermittent fasting. I've read a lot about it.
Whatever
It
works
seems
for
to-
you,
yeah.
though.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Okay.
Man, I just been, what I'm saying, drinking water sandwiches. That's the best.
Water
way.
sandwiches.
It's the best way to do it.
Sounds delicious.
Water definitely does.
Water.
You throw a little bit of cardio in there, that weight will fall
And I worked
off.
out.
It'll
I
fall
should have
off.
said I worked out with my trainer. Shout out to Rachel. I worked out with her.
So you got your trainer back in effect.
She's back. Yeah. Well,
Oh, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
this
better
is-
hit that gym.
I'm telling you.
Every day
It's
after
right
the show,
there.
it's
You
right
might
next
as well.
door.
I was
Here.
doing flies. I did like 300 crunches this morning.
Let me give you a tip on a snack. I know you said you had
Yeah,
cherries.
go ahead.
Skinny Pop popcorn.
That is
Yes.
really good.
It's satisfying.
Yeah, they had that.
It's a
have it in my house.
snack.
Where's that at?
You get it.
You get it at
I've
any
got a
store,
box of it
grocery
in my
store,
house.
anywhere.
Dude, you throw it in the microwave for 3 minutes.
You
It
ain't-
pops.
Oh, the microwave.
You ain't.
one.
I didn't
microwave
do
is
the
the one
microwave. I got
Oh,
the bag of chips.
I get the bag of
No,
right.
no. Throw them in the microwave. They're like $1 a bag.
So
Okay.
it's
You
the
get like
so
a
it's
10
the
pack
other
for
ones.
$10. You throw it in there, and 3 minutes, it's ready to go. It's hot, smells great. The whole
Yeah.
house
It
smells
tastes
great.
good.
And it takes the edge off.
Yeah.
So, like, to go like
I make
12 hours
homemade
between meals.
I get this like Amish popcorn that I make myself. I don't use any butter.
Okay,
Just
that's
put some
great.
salt on it.
I can't wait until next Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's our big.
Yes.
The first weigh-in is big.
Yes.
Because that's when you're
it's
supposed to
big
lose
drop.
the most weight.
It'll tell you,
All right.
you'll be motivated for
Okay.
sure.
Mikey's got one other thing.
We teased this leading up to yesterday, and then we just didn't have time with Clarette. But I am going to change my Twitter handle based on the best nickname we've got so far. That'll be Friday. So we're teasing until Friday with that.
Okay.
So keep sending in the nickname submissions. Mikey McNugget's still the leader in the clubhouse, but we will
So
do
the
that
vote
live.
is tomorrow?
The vote is Friday.
Friday.
We'll change it
the
at the end of
vote
the
is
show
Friday.
Friday. We will change it. We have a DD in studio tomorrow for 2 hours.
Oh, nice.
For the people out there. We also have Leroy Howard coming on. Did I say his last name right?
Leroy Horde.
Horde, yep,
Absolutely.
got it. So we'll get their nickname suggestions and we'll change it live on the air Friday. But please subscribe and follow because I want to dump chili on Anthony's head.
I kind of want to see that. I like Anthony. Such a likable guy.
Damn.
He's into it.
If
so.
I would have been here Friday, I would have definitely volunteered to let y'all do it to me. But
chili?
I'm not here. I'm not here.
We'll do it next Wednesday.
No. It's already been set and submitted Friday.
All right, we'll let you skate.
Final takes. Take a break.
We're taking a break. Final takes when we come right back. We can do it Wednesday.
Nope.
Yeah, we can
Too late.
Make that
It's too
happen.
late.
We got you. Cleveland sports to me is bigger than anything. It's bigger than some people's marriages. They say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. No. Dallas is not America's team. Cleveland is America's team. And sports in Cleveland is a religion. It's a way of life. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter. Sports is a way for people in Cleveland to get together, and it's something that can't be replicated in Cleveland. Sports is a thing.
Recognize that feeling? It is the feeling of being together, enjoying the company of a familiar face, and sharing moments that matter to you, to me, to us. What matters to some could impact all of us, especially in a place like Northeast Ohio. Here, stories are shared from east to west to south. Stories of perseverance, of family, of love. If a story brings us together, it's what matters most.
News you can trust should be news you can rely on.
And every night at 11 on What's Next, you can rely on us.
A new legal twist for Brown.
Today also marks the beginning of ODOT.
Here, and we are going to continue.
So the Guardians have to play almost.
You can rely on us to help you go to bed better informed with stories that prepare you for tomorrow.
And with news that's relevant to your life. We'll make sure that you're ready for what's next.
Because being ready for tomorrow is what matters most.
Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I am a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. I have carried my fandom every city I've ever lived in. People have always asked me, why are you so diehard about Cleveland? It's because I'm from here. And we know how much our teams mean to us. Most of us know that because of our parents. In my case, my father was just a huge Cleveland sports fan. It was really part of our life. It was woven into everything we did. And it was our connection throughout his life.
High school, they got a baby together and their parents is married. They
Yeah,
snapped.
wow. That's wild.
Man, we're having great conversations. The things we talk about in the commercial break.
Man.
But you know what? We're going to bring this stuff to the show, too, at some point.
Well, I'll
because
mention it. I don't care. I mean,
yeah, let's hold it.
You
Let's
want me to hold it?
Yeah.
You think it's going too far?
Adam, that's not a 1 minute one-off.
Fair
If you
point.
take us down that road, we're going over 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a 20-minute conversation. Yeah.
Mikey,
we got some Tim Couch basketball stats real quick. Shout out.
That's a
executive
Carfax.
producer.
I'm going to quote Tyvis. So this is a Carfax check, right?
Carfax check, yeah.
He made a claim earlier on the show that he was top 10 in scoring in Kentucky history.
He did say he wasn't sure anymore at the time.
He's wrong.
When he left the game,
Yeah.
he was top 10. He was the best high school basketball player in the state of Kentucky his senior year, and it wasn't even close, guys. He rolled to Mr. Basketball.
So as of now, Tim Couch is 33rd all
Wow.
time on the Kentucky high school scoring list with 3,023 points. But he did make 954 field goals between 1991 and 1995.
As I said, guys, he played varsity in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
The one caveat to that is that the three-point game has changed the way guys score.
Yes. Yeah.
And all the guys that have passed him since he left
Shoot a
are
ton of threes.
extraordinary three-point shooters.
Yeah.
And that wasn't part of the game when Tim was in high school.
When Tim comes to Cleveland, let's have a three-point shootout. Me versus Tim. Done.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I would watch that.
The gauntlet's been laid down, Tim.
Are any of you guys good at shooting threes?
No, everybody thinks they're a good three-point shooter.
I'm the worst ever.
I played basketball in high school, but I ain't shot a ball yet.
I'm a hooper.
Yeah.
I won't
play none of this high school stuff because I was not good enough. But I did.
When I was in the 6th grade, I used to dominate.
But I did play in the park in Brooklyn with some good players, and I sucked. but I hustled. And I was a pretty good passer.
Did you ever go to Rucker or no?
I went to watch guys play. I didn't play.
You never touched the
But I
asphalt
watched those
like,
guys play. And
oh,
you watch those guys play, you're like, those guys could be in the NBA.
Every guy
it
out
seems
there.
like it.
Every guy out there.
Those guys were
so talented.
amazing.
And just
But I
wicked
did see
ball
Chris
skills.
Mullen play.
Yeah.
He came to my park in Brooklyn.
I'm a pretty good bowler.
What's that?
I'm a pretty good bowler.
You're bowling?
Highest game?
Yeah, what's your highest?
257.
279. Had the 300 going until the 9th frame.
Yeah.
Went 9 spare and struck out.
A guy G and I know.
I choked. I did that in Columbus, by the way.
A guy
I did.
G
I choked.
and
The whole lane stopped.
Oh, my.
It was in a league.
You had a chance.
And one of my teammates made the mistake of going up and telling the guy that that collected the bowling shoes.
I would
that,
cry.
Hey, Crawford's perfect through 8, and all of a sudden you
pressure
hear
was
all
on.
the noise at the lanes. It's quiet, and I look back and there's 200 guys watching. I'm like, what do you
I would have cried.
And I choked.
Do you have your own ball?
I do. Yeah. So call me Fred Flintstone.
Yeah. By the way, a guy G and I work with, Jonathan Peterlin from 92.3 The Fan. He's good. He went to college on a bowling scholarship.
That's
I
awesome.
didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, there's now. Yeah. High school bowling is a
I
big
can't
thing
even
now.
spin the ball. I'm a regular.
You know who's a great bowler? Is T.O.
I believe.
Really?
T.O. can roll it.
Not
Yeah,
surprised.
he's very good. Okay, we're going to do final takes. Who's up first? Who wants to start? Bull?
Yeah. I got to tell you guys, I've been doing a lot of jokes and stuff on this, but I was really feeling very bummed yesterday. Obviously, every day in the media, there's stories, terrible stories, that are so depressing. And I hate to get everybody depressed, but, we all know what happened in Buffalo this weekend with the senseless shooting there and the awful manifesto. And, to obviously a lesser degree, but still awful locally, at Lake Catholic High School, there was a kid, and I know Jay did the story on the news yesterday, who was wearing a swastika on his leg during a lacrosse game against Orange, which has a lot of Jewish students. And apparently parents were saying things and making anti-Semitic remarks. And I got to say, I think people have gotten way too comfortable doing and saying awful things. And I don't want to make this a political debate. Every time one of these things like this happen, with the Buffalo thing specifically, it's like Democrats scream about gun control and Republicans scream about mental health. And the truth is, both sides suck. Whatever the solution is, I don't have the solution. I wish I did. I wish I was some genius that could figure it all out. All I know is we all have to agree that people dying, getting shot in mass shootings has to end. And however, we need the smartest minds in this country to figure out a way together. Can we do anything together? Put our stupid politics aside and come together and just say, this is crazy that there's mass shootings now all the time in this country, and that it becomes an afterthought. And again, to bring it back locally with the Lake Catholic thing, they need to do something immediately. This kid must be kicked off the team, and he should be suspended from school. This is how these things escalate, because we put up and make excuses for people who are showing intolerant behavior. It's ridiculous. And I know in a way you're thinking, well, the Lake Catholic thing and the Buffalo thing, it's two different things. But I think the Lake Catholic thing ends up leading to things like the Buffalo situation, where people were senselessly killed. When we start being okay with people wearing swastikas or saying racist or anti-Semitic or homophobic things, then it builds up. So can we, for once, come together? Can we get the smartest people in this country to figure out some way to stop these things from happening? Because it's to the point now where it's white noise, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, from your lips to God's ears. You'd think we'd be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
G?
Man, I was on the car this morning. I was dropping my wife off to work. And as I sit and listen to one of the local radio shows that I listen to, they happened to have a school administrator on. And he talked about the reasoning behind the runaway no vote for NIL in Ohio. Now, there's a lot of things that you can tell me as an administrator. There's a lot of things that you can tell me about why it doesn't work and why you're trying to protect people and how that's what you need to do. But I'm here to tell everybody, I need to remind people that we are guests in the arena of athletics. For far too long, people like me, I used to be a former athlete, I get paid to tell an opinion about people playing the sport. Administrators in schools, athletic directors, you make a living, you feed your family from what people do on a field. For far too long, we've talked about, well, it's the children. I'm in it to teach young men and then have them. No, listen. For far too long, you've been in it to hold young men back. At the end of the day, your job is to do what you came to do, and that's to further the lives and better the lives of student athletes. We all get paid off the game. We need to stop pretending that I'm in this game because I want to see kids do well. If the high school coach is making $80,000, the athletic director is making $100,000, then you go up and everybody else is making millions of dollars. At the end of the day, your job as a guest in this game is to further the lives of student athletes. And if that means putting money in their pockets so that they can eat during a pandemic when guess what? School isn't in, that's what you should allow. Your job is not to sit back and think about all the ways things can go right. Your job is to come up with rules to make it right, not wrong. And at the end of the day, remember what you're here for, and we'll remember what you're here as. You are a guest. You don't play. You don't score any baskets. We all earn a living off the backs of athletes, and we need to respect that as guests.
I like that.
Yeah, it was controversial. I think a lot of people thought it was going to pass.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too.
It's going to go to the courts where all the legal experts tell me it will be passed.
Right.
I think the reason it didn't, from talking to a lot of folks yesterday on this, there's no infrastructure. And deals would have been able to have been cut today. And all 817 OHSAA schools would have had to have a compliance officer on staff for the NIL.
And that's why I think they sabotaged it.
Well, they sabotaged it by putting that language in it.
Yes.
These schools are looking around going, we don't even know what NIL is.
Right.
Many of our schools don't even have athletic directors. And you want us to now have an NIL officer? We ain't ready for that yet. So it's coming. May have been ahead of its time, but Ohio is the first state that voted it down. Of the 9 that have it, they were all passed through on the first try. All right, Ty.
So one thing that grinds my gears is that, I talk to these kids nowadays and, I ask them, what do you want to do in life? A lot of them tell me, I want to play professional football, professional basketball. Well, some of the things that go into it is work. And the problem today with this generation that's coming up is that they want to receive the maximum reward, but they only want to put the minimum requirements into it. And I have a problem with that. The reason that I even made it to Ohio State is because I had to get up at 6 a.m. every day in high school and go work out. It was times where everybody was out having fun, and I went and started doing drills because it was that important to me. That allowed me to, and just gave me a chance to make it at Ohio State. And once I got there, you know what happened? I got complacent. I thought I arrived. I stopped working. That's why I ended up redshirting. That's truthfully what it is. I realized that this is not the legacy that I want to leave at Ohio State. So what did I do? I went back to doing the things that worked for me. I started working out again, extra workouts. After spring ball practice, I go back in the weight room with the strength coaches and we do another workout. And you know what? I earned my spot. That led me to reach my dream of getting to the NFL, where I only was there for 4 years. But I tell you right now, every single day, I put that work in every single day. I stayed out after practice with some of the best, the Richard Shermans, the Cam Chancellors. Those guys really looked after me and really helped develop my game. It's things like that. It's so many sacrifices that you have to make just to even get a chance to be there. And some of y'all kids think that y'all just gonna get there off of just my pure talent. You think my talent is just gonna get me there. And that's not true. You have to develop some type of work ethic. It might get you through the door, but it's not gonna keep you there. And I'm here to tell you, success only comes before work inside the dictionary.
Well
That is really well said. I call the generation of today the Kardashian kids.
I think
now you know why I do that? And Brianna's laughing. You know why I call them Kardashian kids? Because they all want to be famous.
Yeah, for being famous, right?
For being who they are.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't work that way. And this generation, more than any before it, we've watched the Kardashians grow older and have all of these wealth items and flaunt their lives on social media. And everybody wants that, but nobody wants to do the work.
I think to his point, like I'm trying to teach my son, you are special to me and your family, and we love you and we think you're special. But the world doesn't care. The world, you got to earn that for other people. We're going to love you unconditionally because we're your family, and we want you to feel special around us because you are. But you got to realize that not everybody, a lot of kids today think they're special.
The real world's tough, man.
You're special to your family.
It is.
But
Ain't nobody checking for you.
And by the way, you should never say you only played in the NFL for 4 years. Because, first of all, the average NFL career is shorter than 4 years.
First of all, the 99.5% of the human beings don't even know what it's like to have a chance to play in the NFL.
Exactly.
That's
So
true.
you
never
shouldn't downplay
disparage
that.
Yeah,
I can be a wise guy with, like, this guy's a scrub and stuff, but, like, when it really matters, I don't really mean
Nobody
that.
gets there by accident. Never.
Playing in 4 years in the NFL is a great accomplishment. You shouldn't downplay that at all. I don't think.
Appreciate y'all.
Because it's a real thing.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a solution, guys. You know, I always like to bring solutions when there are problems. There's a problem in Major League Baseball, and it's sign stealing. Now, I know you're thinking, no, we've cleaned up the game. The Astros were punished, kind of. The Yankees got a slap. A lot of teams were doing it, and we'd like to think that now they're no longer using electronic devices. But I saw something in a game last night that was absolutely brilliant, but it shows me that the problem is still there. So let me set the stage for you. The Dodgers had a 2-run lead in the 9th inning, and there was a runner on second base. And Craig Kimbrell comes to the set, and as a pitcher, you always glance back to the runner at second base. Well, he saw what I've seen a million times. He saw the guy on second flashing the sign to the hitter. He had picked up what their sequence was. If it was the third sign, it's going to be that pit, whatever. And he was flashing the sign to the hitter. Now, Kimbrell's sitting there saying, I can only screw up here if I give up a 2-run homer. The guy is on second. He can see the sign from my catcher. So he did one of the smartest things I've ever seen a baseball player do. He was on the rubber, and he dropped the baseball, which everybody knows is an instant balk. And what does a balk mean? It means the runner on second gets a base. He has to go to third. Now, the runner at third can't see what the catcher is signing to the pitcher. He can't see his sign. If he flashes a sign, there's a good chance that the hitter knows what's coming. When big league hitters know what's coming, their averages go up 200 points. It's a lot easier to hit what you know is coming. Kimbrell didn't want to give up a 2-run homer to have the game tied, but he's willing to let that guy score. He means nothing. It's a 2-run game. In fact, that runner ended up scoring on an infield hit. But the Dodgers held the game and won 9-8. His strategy worked. Teams are still stealing signs in baseball, and they're going to continue to try stealing signs forever. It's part of the game, and you can do it without electronics. It's on the team that's throwing the signs to hide them. Here's my solution. Why don't we have communication devices between the catcher and the pitcher on what the pitch is going to be? Catcher's down here throwing all kinds of signs, all kinds of codes. Pitcher has to decipher it. It slows the game down. Most teams will have a pitching coach that flashes the sign into the catcher flashes it to the pitcher. A lot of teams have the catcher call the game. But if you have a pitching coach in the dugout with a microphone, and the catcher and the pitcher each have a hearing device in one ear, all the pitching coach has to do is slider. Catcher knows what's coming, pitcher knows what's coming, he throws it. Now, guys that know baseball will say, well, the shortstop, second baseman, and the outfielders like to know what's coming because if it's a fastball, they might play for the hitter to go the other way. If you want to go that deep, the shortstop can wear a device, and the shortstop can communicate to the outfield and the second baseman the way they have for years. Closed glove, open mouth, they hide the sign, only the second baseman can see it. They do that on the game today whenever there's a situation where they want to let everybody else know what the catcher is calling. They use them in the NFL. They have listening devices in the NFL. The communications department of the NFL jammed the signals so they can never be intercepted. It would speed up the game, and it would clean up the game, and I think we need that right now in baseball.
I think they did start using a device that's not a speaker this year for some teams.
College.
I thought they were doing it in the majors.
If they are, I haven't heard about it. College started it a couple of years ago. They were going to tinker around with the idea.
They should, though. You're right.
I have no idea why they don't use it.
Yeah.
The games right now, if you watch, now, granted, the pitcher still decides what he wants to throw. If he's uncomfortable with a sign with the pitch that's called, he shakes, and the catcher drops another sign. Well, if the pitching coach asks for a fastball and the pitcher really wants to throw a four-seamer or a changeup, all the pitcher has to do is shake his head.
Right.
Pitching coach will see it. He'll call in the next pitch, and it speeds everything up.
And there's less shaking off these days anyway, especially young pitchers.
Yeah, most pitchers now throw what's called.
Yeah.
But the veterans that are comfortable and that they've earned that right, it takes so long. You see the pitcher stand there. No.
I don't understand why. There's 4 or 5 things in baseball that technology could remedy. Like, I don't understand. Strike zone. I don't need that. If you're called out at first base, did you beat it out or not? You could have some
we do use technology for that. It doesn't always work.
Well, I need them to have a sensor in the bag.
It takes away from like the
Well,
game.
the sensor in the bag would tell you when the player hit the bag.
Yes.
It wouldn't tell you when the ball was in the first baseman's glove.
But again, if replay to me was meant to correct the obvious mistake.
They've
If it's a
screwed it up,
bang
though.
play, I don't care. Move on.
They got a call wrong in the Indians game that cost them the game a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
So,
but I do want to see an electronic strike zone. I think it'd be
I
better
do
for the
too.
game.
yeah. Electronic strike zone, and just forget this nonsense, throwing the signs down. Just an earpiece.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Football players have them in helmets.
Yeah.
It works fine for them.
It does.
Speeds up the game. All right, that's it. We're out of time. What's the best thing on tomorrow's show? Aditi's in studio.
Aditi in studio for 2 hours.
Aditi Kinkhabwala. Did I nail that?
You got it.
Kinkhabwala.
Yeah.
Who was formerly with the NFL Network. She's covered the AFC North and the Steelers for years. She's in Cleveland. She's going to stop by the studio and join us. We can't wait for that. We're going to have a conversation with Kevin Stefanski and Leroy Hoard, the former great Browns running back from the 90s. He's a wonderful guy. He does a real successful radio show in South Florida. He's going to join the program. And have we confirmed him as a regular, or is this a one-off?
I know he's tomorrow. We're not sure about the regular yet, but he is here tomorrow.
Okay. I hope he's a regular because you guys are going to like him.
Yeah.
He's funny, and he is raw. If he thinks it, he says it. So tomorrow's show is going to be a good one. Thanks for watching today. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.